Greetings, everyone. And welcome. And look, up in the sky, it's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's three birds attached ass to beak, forming a bird centipede. Or it's Monster Party.
Monster Party.
Monster Party. Monster Party. Super Monster Party.
Oh my gosh, it is
Monster
super.
Party.
Yes.
And I got in there my pitch my movie pitch that I'm pitching, the bird centipede.
Yeah. So
Got a lot of calls.
I can see it.
Yeah. Speaking of bird centipede, who are you, sir?
Perfect. I am Matt Weinhold.
I am SHAWN Sheridan.
I'm Larry STROTHE.
And I'm James GUNN.
And for this episode, we are tackling something that we probably should have tackled a long time ago. We did kind of a similar episode with Batman, because we all love the Batman. And but this is kind of the most, maybe the most iconic superhero of all time.
Yes.
And so the name of this episode is The Superman Legacy.
The Superman
Legacy. Oh, yes. Oh, because there's a lot of Superman out there.
Superman.
There are many incarnations.
Yes, that's right. I've been doing my research, and there's just more than I ever realized. And then, you know, when you include the parodies and the other comic books that have been inspired by Superman, there's just so much.
But Matt, I tell you, there's so
Larry.
much Superman out there. We need someone to help us get through Superman. We need someone who knows about Superman, someone who understands and knows it.
Yes. Maybe a Superman. Yes. And have I got a Superman for you? Our guest for this metahuman Mardi Gras is a celebrated artist and writer who has dazzled the world with his incredible creations. He's a friend of the show who has lent his talent to such projects as Black Terror, Batman Thrill Killer, Superman, and Batman Legends of the World's Finest, Giant Killer, JLA 7 Caskets, and his own groundbreaking series, The Nocturnals. Please welcome back Krypton's finest, Dan Brereton.
Welcome back.
I'm so glad to be back.
So glad to have you back.
Great to see you.
It's been too long, man.
Great to see you guys too.
And this is up your alley.
It is up my alley, and it's great to actually talk about something that I don't know. I have a tiny bit of. I mean, I feel like I can talk about it intelligently, at least.
Yeah, you've contributed to the world of Superman. Legitimately contributed.
You have illustrated Superman.
Yeah.
Professional.
Yeah, that was like my second thing I did for DC. I had done a book called The Psycho, which was a creator-owned book with Jim Hudnall.
Fantastic.
And our editor was the great Mike Carlin, or as he's known as the great Carlini, who was the group editor of Superman at the time. This is the early 90s. And he said, what do you want? After I was done, he said, what do you want to do? And I said, I'd like to do Batman. And he said, well, if you want to do Batman with me, you got to do Superman too, like World's Finest. And Steve Root had done a really fantastic World's Finest, a classic that had that Fleischer kind of feel to it.
Right.
Yeah. By Dave Gibbons, I want to say. And so he said, okay, well, who do you want to work with? And I thought, well, how about Walt Simonson? And Walt was down to do it, and we concocted this storyline where Batman and Superman's dreams are switched, like a sorcerer's influence caused their dreams to be switched. So Batman is dreaming about the destruction of Krypton, and is dreaming about his parents being gunned down in an alley, and it throws them off. It throws off their game a lot. And in the meantime, Walt said, "Hey, what do you want to draw? What would you like to draw?" And I was like, well, here's my list of characters that I'd like to draw. And he worked them all into the story like a genius. So yeah, that was when I kind of learned. I mean, I was a fan of Superman, but I wasn't like a super fan. I mean, I love Superman, but at the time I was my head was all about Batman. But I had to learn to not only appreciate Superman, but love him a lot more. And come to understand him. And it was just a great way to immerse myself in the character. And after that, I came away with such an appreciation for not just the character, but for the history of all these different, this parade of artists and creators, writers who had come before me. And I really felt there was an onus on me to do the best I could to put my best foot forward for the sake of all of that. And it was super fun. It was super fun. You got to put the Silver Banshee in there. Man-Bat shows up in the story, you know.
Oh, yeah, it's a beautiful book.
There's a great scene where Superman confronts the Joker in Arkham Asylum and scares the crap out of him. It's out of print. I'm talking with DC about getting it back into print because they haven't done a trade paperback in over 2 decades.
Wow.
But it would be nice to see it come back. And
it's gorgeous.
And I read JLA 7 Castles was a Justice League thing I wrote and painted in toward the end of the 90s. That was really fun to do a team book. I also wrote a 2-part Superman Silver Banshee book that was drawn by Joyce Chin. She was just starting out as a DC artist. Yeah, so I mean, it was so to have Mike Carlin as my editor, who is like the last word on Superman, was the best education you could have about the character. I mean, he discussed why you couldn't tell stories where Superman goes and ends world hunger or brings about world peace or brings water to the desert and solves all the world's problems. And they didn't do stories like that. And they didn't do that on purpose.
Right.
Purposely didn't do stories like that. And it was kind of interesting. And that's when I learned about the character Miracle Man, because I hadn't read it.
Sure.
So
one of my favorite books of all time.
It's what Miracle Man's about. It's about what happens if Superman tries to solve the world's problems. It doesn't really go great.
It's more Captain Marvel, but it's basically Captain Marvel is really Superman.
Right. Like Superman gone very wrong.
Right. Gotcha.
Or depending on your
right.
Well,
right.
If you want to solve all the world's problems and you want to be on top of it, you kind of eventually have to just take over.
Which is what Miracle Man does.
Right.
Interesting. And you go down a different path, you know.
Right.
Interesting.
There's a Miracle Man story where there's a bunch of spies who are running around and they're doing this espionage. And at one point, one of the spies realizes, like, what am I doing? Like, what actually is the purpose of all this? And what you find out is that these spies have all been put into like a spy reserve so they can get out all their spy tendencies. And then once they're done with that, they can go back into society. Yeah.
Oh, so they're like in a preserve.
In a preserve, yes.
Wild and do their things, but they're not. They're like in a bubble.
Yeah, exactly. And then so at one point, when this one spy has had it, then Miracle Man shows up and goes, "Okay, I think you're ready to come out and join society." Really clever.
Who wrote that? Was that Alan Moore?
That might have been a Neil Gaiman story.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, kudos to Neil, who is the master, as we know. Not funny.
Too soon.
Oh.
Oh, hey, can I say, never a fan of Neil Gaiman. I never really got the whole thing, the sunglasses, and everyone thinks he's great. But
I loved his work.
What's that?
I loved his work always.
Most people do. I mean, and it was a crushing blow to fandom and people who worked with him, especially who worked with him. Yeah,
horrible. Why can't it be someone who I hate? You know,
it's right.
Hey, Dan, I'm curious though, when you started to draw Superman, I mean, Superman has been around for a long time. Did you feel any pressure to make sure that Superman looked like how his chin was supposed to be or his chest? I mean, can you tell us about the pressure on you?
Well, I was like saying I had all this, I had this sort of history kind of bearing down on me. So I really wanted to do well. In fact, I remember I think I had half of the first issue done because these were 3 48-page issues, all fully painted. And I had half of the first issue done. I brought it to San Diego. This probably was 1991, something like that. And I remember I've met Steve Root for the first time, and he came over and he was looking at what I was doing. He was kind of checking it out. And I was like, kind of biting my nails. And he didn't lambaste me or anything like that. But there was a lot of pressure. I mean, this is the character. He's the one who started it all. At the time, John Bogdanov was drawing the book. I believe he was drawing Man of Steel or Superman, one of those titles. And he was a big influence at that point. He was drawing a big Superman. He was drawing a Superman with a little more hair at the time, very big job. I mean, big, powerful Superman. And so I wanted to kind of go that direction.
Mm-hmm.
And also because Rude had done the Fleischer version. So I wanted to kind of.
Right.
Mhm.
And so I was contrasting Batman with Superman with a physique as well, because I wasn't doing like a Frank Miller hulky,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But and I also wasn't doing a Marshall Rogers kind of lithe, tall and lean Batman. Yeah, I mean, I think that helped me a lot actually to have that, not so much pressure, but the feeling that I needed to kind of step up and do my best. And I took it seriously. I always do. I think because there's a kid inside me that's expecting me to do that.
Sure. Right.
Would be upset if I didn't. So, I'm basically that same person. So,
All right.
Yeah,
Of course.
I think we all are to a certain extent. We're these adult kids walking around wanting everyone to just do it right, do it correctly.
Yeah. Well,
And-
exactly.
And speaking of the new movie, by the way,
Oh,
Right. The new Superman film. Right.
Here we are, 2025.
Yes, 2025,
New
and we've had so many films and iterations of Superman, and it's been a mixed bag.
Yeah.
To be kind. And now we're at this place where we had this film, and I don't know about you guys, but I went in with a lot of trepidation. Like, is this just going to be another waste of time? Is this going to be another movie where I go, hey, I like that part?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what you guys thought of the movie, but I was pleasantly shocked.
Yeah, me too. I was
warn listeners that spoilers are afoot.
Thank you very much, James.
Yeah.
Thanks, James. It's
And
true.
by the way, the Red Wedding.
No,
I'm kidding.
No. But
Yeah, no,
if you,
Matt,
if you
yeah.
haven't seen this new Superman, we're
gonna
gonna
talk
talk
about it.
Yeah, so see them.
So-
I really do advise to see the movie first
Before
because
you listen to this.
because the thing is, I'm like you, Matt. I didn't really go in with trepidation. I just went in with a lot of hope because I wanted it to be back in that time when I was much younger. You go see a movie like the first Star Wars, or Raiders of the Lost Ark, or the first Richard Donner's Superman, and like, wow, that movie's near perfect.
Or the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly. Much closer to what this was. And I thought, just like us, James Gunn was yearning to have a great Superman movie again.
Yeah.
And the thing is, to me, he pulled it off. It's the most comic book like Superman movie, I think, of any Superman film.
Definitely.
He just genuinely makes Superman fun again. I mean, if you look at the Snyderverse, I mean, there's not much fun in those movies.
No.
I mean, not, and I understand people can do whatever they like, just like Batman. But for Superman, I really just wanted a fun, bright, colorful, exciting Superman movie that moves and I thought it was pretty near perfect. I'm not saying there weren't some issues, but nothing.
Yeah, there's some plot things that are, if you're hardcore into the physics of a black hole, you might have some issues.
Right.
Please.
But nothing egregious.
But, and there's some things where, like the whole thing about calling out the numbers, the methods of attack that are going to take down Superman. I would think with computers, we can come up with a slightly better system than somebody yelling into a mic. And then also it'd be like, hey, Superman, why don't you take down those little flying things around the guy? They might have something to do with him. But when I think about that scene, though, I then go to, oh, wait a minute. This whole movie as a whole, it feels more like a comic book from the 70s. And that would be a comic book device.
Absolutely.
So I was back on board. I think the casting, I know that some people have had problems with Lex Luthor.
Nicholas Hoult?
I liked him.
I liked him, though. And I felt like he brought back youthful menace.
Yeah.
Yeah, just across the board, I feel like the casting was spot on. And here's the thing that really got me. Leave it to James Gunn to bring the humor in a way that is organic.
Right.
And not hit you over the head. And pick your moments.
Exactly.
And
character-driven comedy.
Character-driven. Really a delight.
Well, Matt, you've talked many times about how this applies to movies in general. The tone is so important. And I thought he really nailed it with this. And also throwing you into an established universe already, I thought was great because we
Right.
did not need another origin story. And some people said it's a little overstuffed with too many other superhero characters. I disagree. I thought he balanced them all really well. I loved all the other superhero characters. Yep. I mean, you have a kaiju in there. You have like a robot warrior guy. You have another thing Gunn is good at is he's good at weirdness and surrealism and just off the walls moments in these movies, like Suicide Squad, for example, and it works.
Which I would say is a little more over the top than
this
one is. This one's definitely more grounded.
Yeah, and it's not R-rated. It's more for a family movie. But I thought, wow, somebody actually made a great Superman movie again, and I want to see it again.
Well, talking about casting, Jimmy Olsen, if he's supposed to be quite that irresistible to women, I wouldn't have cast Skylar Gisondo. They could have found like a younger Rob Lowe looking guy and nerded him up a little bit. And then, okay, you can see why.
Right.
But they addressed that though.
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah. I think Lois said, I don't understand how you get women.
Yeah.
That's not enough. That's not enough.
People say that to me, so I buy it.
Look, I love the fact that as colorful and as comic booky and as fast moving as it is, that there was still some serious real world implications of Superman existing in the real world. Like that interview he has with Lois, like, did you get permission from the State Department? And it's like, no, well, it's wonderful to see things like that worked into it. But that said, there were also some issues that I had, not to be a fly in the ointment. I thought it was terrific, but there were some things walking out of it that bugged me. One of them was Eve Tessmacher. If Lex Luthor is supposed to be this hugely brilliant and successful guy, then why does he have this bimbo taking selfies in front of top secret information in his office?
Hubris.
But I would have they could have fixed that with a moment where one of his employees is like, "Are you sure she should be here?" And he just gives him a look like, "Hey, I'm the boss. I can do whatever I want."
That conversation already happened in a previous scene that was not.
You're being kind, and if he can,
I'm not being kind. It's a comic book movie, and if you go back to the first Superman movie, you could say the same thing about that Tessmacher.
Sure.
Well, that was an issue that they had with the first Superman movie, where it became, once you introduce Lex Luthor, it becomes like the Batman. You almost want to see them at a 45-degree angle because they're goofy. Here, it bugged me. It may not bug anybody else, but it bugged me, especially when you go to the pocket dimension and you see that Luthor has already jailed an ex-girlfriend who did a blog about him.
Well,
yeah.
They might have had a scene in there that explained it, but they might have taken it out for whatever reason. I mean, because that kind of gives things away if they say at the beginning of the film, "Hey, why is she in here taking all these pictures?" I mean, because that's like a plot point that they hang a lot of stuff on, and if you mention it up front, it's over. You can't use it, really.
I think it could have been fixed quickly.
It's comic book logic, though.
Yeah,
it's comic book logic, but sometimes it takes me out of it.
He's a very arrogant guy, so he just assumes that he has control over things, and he kind of sort of says that in the movie, and he doesn't.
But that's a major oversight for a character like that, in my opinion. And the clone, Ultraman, he could make a clone of Superman. Why can't he make 10?
Mm-hmm.
They're hard to make.
Right.
Okay.
Have you ever made a clone? You ever done
How many
that?
clones do you have, James?
How many clones have you made?
And then the Raptors show up, right? He does away with them in 30 seconds. What's even the point?
I mean, the Raptors aren't Superman. Because I'll tell you why. Because it takes a whole room of people to control one Bizarro. So how the hell are they going to control an army of them? When it takes so much effort to control one. Because
point taken. But if you have an army of them, why do you even need to control them?
James, it sounds to me like you're desperately looking for flaws in it. First of all, as a movie and as a sequence and as a budget, if you have 20 Superman clones fighting, then it's over. Then you're getting to the Snyderverse. It's like, I also thought what I also liked is, even though it's Superman, he gets the shit kicked out of him in a lot of different ways in the film, which I liked. Yes. I love the nanobot things going in his face, and like there was a lot of. They thought of a lot of ways to really attack Superman and which I really liked.
And that he needs the power of the sun to get strength.
Yeah. Also, I want to say one thing that I really like to give Luthor an edge. I was shocked by it, and I think it pushed the envelope of the PG-13. But I loved the moment when Luthor just shoots that guy in the head out of cold blood.
That was
That
great.
was shocking. And that was like, okay, Luthor, like, he's not some silly comical bad guy. This guy means business. Like, that was very effective moment.
He didn't expect it to happen so quickly.
Yeah.
Maybe he thought Superman would give in, but I that was my least favorite moment in the movie.
Really?
As a person who worked on Superman, you can come up with ways, if you're a good writer, if you know your material, so that you don't have to put yourself in that position. Just like they didn't have to have him kill Zod at the end of the other movie. That didn't happen, and you didn't have to. Because I feel like when you take your kids to see a Superman movie, you shouldn't see an immigrant executed at gunpoint. That to me was really kind of offensive, and I think it would have offended some of the Superman guys. But at the same time, I don't know. I mean, John Bogdan posted he liked the film a lot. I think Louise Simonson liked the film quite a bit. That was just my personal take, was that they could have handled it differently, and we didn't have to execute a guy who's not a white guy, by the way, too. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They executed a Middle Eastern fella in a movie. Of all the people to execute him, and I felt like, I don't know, that just kind of took me out of it a little bit. But that's just my
it's fair enough. I feel when I watched it, my feeling that I had was then outrage. And I mean, if the message was it's okay to kill Middle Eastern people, I don't think they really got that across, because I was appalled. And I felt like you did. Yeah, this guy means business. And it's one scene, one shot where you really get a real world act of violence that makes this guy a monster.
In defense of that, I would say that it also shows, because he is the polar opposite of Superman. That's the whole point of Lex Luthor. And he's polar opposite because he has no regard for human life.
No.
One thing I wanted to say about the whole calling out the moves, other than the fact that it sort of echoes kind of video game play, is that it kind of shows, if you just have a computer simulation, or if you just have a guy you're not controlling like a robot, you could reason with that guy. And so that could be a plot point where this Kal-El clone is reasoned with. But they took away all that. And so they had to make him an automaton. And the idea of yelling out controls is the way of showing Luthor having a connection. He's fighting this guy using proxy, but he's making the decisions. And if it's a computer that's telling you what to do, it depersonalizes it.
Well, I know why they made these decisions. Sure. From a real world logic standpoint, that's silly. But in Superman comic book world, fine.
Yes.
Yeah. The question, did anyone figure out the clone thing early on? Or
I did not.
I did not know.
I didn't see it coming either. And I was like, under that mask. And, I'll have to say, this one thing about superhero movies that it seems like they fall into the trap almost every time, is the doppelganger thing. The doppelganger is in so many, and I don't know how you feel about that, but to be honest, I feel like, again, it's done all the time. Look at Iron Man. Who does he fight? Who does he fight in Iron Man? He fights a polar opposite of himself, Ironmonger.
Sure.
There's plenty of movies like that. Batman fights a polar opposite, but he's not just a clone of Batman. He's not using the same technology. He's the Joker. So Lex is a good way to do that. But the clone of Superman, who's not even Bizarro Superman, thank goodness, because I'd like to see a Bizarro character from the Bizarro world.
Sure,
If you have a pocket universe, that means you probably have a Bizarro world.
Yeah.
Also, what were those creatures that were carting things around in the pocket universe? Whoa.
I don't know, but I want one.
I know.
And
it's funny. I'm listening to you guys, and
they all of a sudden have to hide you. What was that? They didn't even. They just pulled the thing out of a box and threw it in.
You know what, though? That's why
I love it.
I love that.
Go for it.
I mean, funny.
That would be in a comic book. There'd be a weird little creature.
It's funny. It's funny.
Creatures in other dimensions and worlds. It could have been one of those things.
True.
Right. Sure.
I love that. Can I tell you my favorite scene of the film?
Sure.
Okay, so my favorite scene of the film is when Lois and Clark are talking in the apartment.
I know.
And there's this crazy battle going on.
Yes.
Night outside their window. And it's such a perfect sort of superhero moment because, you're watching this scene between these two people. They're having this moment, this dramatic moment. It's very intimate. It's important to the story. But in the background, it's like, hey, guys, it's still a comic book. Check this out. What's going on out here? But it worked because the colors that were being produced enhanced what was going on with them. It was a beautiful scene. I was so impressed. There's a lot of this movie has a lot of stuff that the Schneiders and the anti-wokers aren't even paying attention to. There's a lot of great storytelling technique in the film. There's a scene where Lois comes home and she unlocks the door, and then she drops her keys and she drops her thing and she locks it, and it's like it's a transition from an earlier scene where there was some percussion of noise in the things that were happening, like the door turning, the lock, and then coming in, and then dropping the keys. Doot, 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 doot. It was a really cool little, like, kind of jazzy sort of thing. And I was like, wow, if I watch this movie a few more times, I might catch more of this stuff.
Yeah. Larry, you had something you wanted to say?
You know, I listening to you guys, and I'm getting the feeling that everyone seems to like it. And what's interesting is you guys are saying some things you like, but then you're all picking out stuff that you didn't like. When I went to see it with my wife and my daughter, when we watched it, I loved all of it. And one of the reasons why I loved it, it was, yes, like Sean said, it is like a comic book. I liked how they didn't have to tell the origin story. But at the very beginning, we're introduced to this had me at the beginning. KRYPTO the dog.
Yeah.
Finally, in the movie.
The funny thing is, I've known about KRYPTO ever since I was a little kid. But as the films go, look, let's be honest. When I saw Superman, Dawn of Superman in '78, that was it. To me, that was it. That was my Superman. And then, we get other Supermans. Then we get the Snyder with Henry Cavill, and which is dark. The funny thing is, after the film, my daughter and I were talking, and she had seen it. She had seen the Snyder before, but she says, Daddy, I wasn't really a big fan of Superman, but this film made me so happy. It made me so happy. I really liked Superman. And it was something that was missing from the whole Zack Snyder side.
Yeah.
And
I got choked up a little bit.
Me too. The other thing about this film that I love with, all the different other superheroes, which I love that interaction.
Mr. Terrific was great.
Mr. Terrific.
So great.
Mr. Terrific was wonderful. But the thing I really loved was something that I thought was missing from all these other films. There's a moment towards the end where Superman has this moment with Lex Luthor, and he almost gets upset and angry. And he says, look, I try to do things every day to make myself a better person and to do good. I may not always succeed, but I try. Right. And that was a moment that I had never seen in any of the Superman films. And I thought it brought back that human feeling where whatever you think, he's sent here by to like overpower us or whatnot. Deep down inside, he's a good person. He wants to do good. He wants to make things fair and good for people. And
he's flawed, but he's good at heart.
Yes, Sean. Right. Yeah, and
he's humanized.
Yeah, and also the other thing too, Sean, you mentioned it too. He gets the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
And again, one of the things that was tough with like Superman Returns was there was this feeling that, okay, unless Kryptonite's involved, he'll be fine.
Right.
This was great. When you get someone who's got that same physical powerfulness, he can get hurt.
Get the snot kicked out of you.
And I liked it. And that made him, to me and my daughter and my wife, that more human.
Exactly.
And that was something I thought was so beautiful.
Well, and also there's with David Cornsweet, there's a vulnerability about him. There's a youthful charm that it was nice to see finally back in the Superman character.
He's not Henry Cavill Atlas body. Okay, I'm saying
he's boyish in a way.
Yes, he reminds me a little of John Krasinski from The Office.
Yeah, but I thought he was wonderful. Yes, Christopher Reeve will probably always be my chosen Superman.
Right,
but
perfect
this guy thought was wonderful. He would be my second favorite.
Yeah, and Larry, like you said, how it made you happy. the movies also made Warner Brothers very happy because I mean people were saying, oh my God, it's like the studio itself is going to go under if this isn't a big hit.
Right.
But maybe an exaggeration, but man, it was everybody hoping, and you got the naysayers and the haters before the movie even came out. They were trying to but you know what? Fuck them all, because the movie did blockbuster. It's doing great.
Yeah.
It has re-energized the DCU, and hopefully Gunn can keep the streak going and just keep the quality control, over all this stuff.
One of my favorite scenes or characters in the movie is Metamorpho.
Yes, great!
What a great concept.
That performance by Anthony Kerrigan with Metamorpho in the cage, just struggling, agonizing over what he's doing. He knows it's wrong, but his baby has been kidnapped, and the arc that you see him take is so good.
Yeah.
Then I would love to see more of that character.
And Matt, for listeners, what is he forced to do? Because it's a great concept.
Because he has the ability to change into various elements. So he is forced by Lex Luthor because they can't find any more kryptonite. So they make him create kryptonite.
It's a great idea.
From his body, which is a great idea. Great idea. And then I love how they reconcile getting Superman back his sun-based powers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was brilliant. That
was really well done.
Yeah. That was not only was it a great idea, it was a great use of Metamorpho's power.
Right.
It showed you that not only is this guy's not good at being a hero. He has no concept.
No. Yeah.
But look what he could do if you could harness it. And by the end of the film, his arc is that he's one of them. And I thought that was terrific, because that's what you need. And also it also works. It does double duty as a contrast between who Superman is and what's a real hero. Superman's like 3 years into being Superman, so he's definitely got that Boy Scout kind of thing going on, but he also hasn't gotten complete control of his demeanor the way that Christopher Reeve does. Christopher Reeve has always got it under control.
Right.
He's playing Clark. He's playing a part. That's all Superman guys, if you've noticed on screen, except for Corn Sweat, are not being themselves. They're being they're playing a part. For the
right. Yes. Yeah.
And so Corn Sweat, when he gets upset talking to Lois, I was like, wow, Superman, he should have a lot more self-control if he's Superman, because he's getting riled up by this. But then you realize younger, he's not there yet.
That's a great scene, because you have Lois, she is a top-notch reporter.
Yeah.
And they're in a relationship, and he's all, okay, you want to do the interview now? Let's do the interview now. And he's trying to play, okay, I'm Superman now. So you ask Superman questions, and he feels that she asked some questions that are like, that's a Clark Kent thing. Yeah. That's a relation. That's not fair. Yeah. And that argument that they have, that was great. That was, think about it. If you had that kind of power and you're trying to have that alter ego, or that, it's like, oh, my alter person is, Clark Kent, I'm really Superman. And you're having a relationship with somebody who has all of these questions. It's like, that's a terrific scene. And I can understand how that's a difficult relationship to have.
Yeah. I love that they moved him into this relationship for the film too, because there's so much more interesting dynamic than the pining over or the
right. Yeah.
You like Superman, but how come she doesn't like me, Clark Kent? She doesn't like you, Clark Kent, because you act like a nerd on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But this one, he doesn't have to do that, because I guess they established that he has these hypno glasses. Is that
okay? Oh my God!
That was
great concept.
For once, I buy. The only time I ever bought the idea that nobody can look at Clark Kent goes, that's fucking Superman. Like every movie, but that's a great idea.
I think that was from a Silver Age comic.
Was it? Why wasn't that used in every movie then?
Sure, exactly, right.
I mean, it's that same with Wonder Woman. Like it's Diana Prince. That's Wonder Woman.
It was a trivial little fact that wasn't a classic comic that people just seem to forget, or
which Gunn was smart enough to do.
Very smart.
So smart.
Yes. It was a seat that they just left in, and a lot of these people that are making these Superman films over the history, they don't read the comics. They don't know crap. That's why Lex Luthor, this is a point I wanted to make, a really important point for me to bring to you guys and hear what you have to say about it is, I feel like Lex Luthor is, I don't ever want to see him again on the Superman movie. I'm so over him. He's been in every single Superman film. They keep bringing him back. I get why they do, but I really would like them to move on.
Yeah, I agree.
Villain come in there, which have to be bald Lex Luthor every time. I don't care if he's bald, but
give me Brainiac. Let's have Brainiac.
I had no problem with seeing this Lex Luthor. To me,
no, me neither.
But like I get what he means.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But
he was
but
the best Lex Luthor. I mean, I like Gene Hackman. I like Christopher Reeves. My favorite.
Sure,
it is the Superman, but this is the Superman movie.
Well, I think Gunn has enough comic literacy to believe that in the future it will be a different villain because he can expand. He's expansive.
Yes.
What I loved is how Superman has this code. He can't beat the shit out of Lex Luthor, but that doesn't mean that KRYPTO can't.
I know.
I love that scene
because you want to see that.
Yeah.
The dog almost beats the shit out of Superman. So,
I
love. I love seeing the like beginnings of the Justice League or Justice Gang. I love that.
Great stuff.
The look of the outside of it, like it looks like Super Friends a little bit.
Super Friends.
I love it.
And I love how they're sponsored by a corporation because this is also like the post The Boys universe where you have to also be realistic about what in the real world, even though it's a comic book fantasy world, would logically be the case if you have superheroes existing.
Well, that goes back to, and Dan, I'm sure you're a fan of these, the Kevin Maguire Justice League books where they had Maxwell Lord in that. I love that whole concept.
Yeah, like Star Labs and that not everybody's a billionaire who's in a costume, so they need someone to foot the bill, a philanthropist or something who's not really a dark entity, working behind the scenes like LexCorp or something. So I thought that was fine. In fact, there's a movie that's out right now that has a similar kind of thing going on, but I don't know who the benefactor is. But anyway, we'll talk about this. Maybe you guys will talk about that some other time. But and someone mentioned something about people criticizing the fact that there were superheroes in it. It's a superhero universe. There are some characters. Well, of course, they're superheroes. Of course, they're going to be in there.
We had mentioned the other superheroes in it. Can we talk a bit about these three superheroes? Because it's interesting. You have a Hawk Girl, Green Lantern, and Mr. Terrific. Now, everyone knows there was this Green Lantern movie that was made a while back that everyone's, it's, terrible, whatnot. So in a way, here you have Green Lantern, but it's a kind of a different Green Lantern guy.
My favorite Green Lantern.
Guy Gardner.
And the three of them kind of look at Superman. Yeah, he's a superhero like us, but we're together like a team and kind of a thing. And it's like, there's kind of a feeling like Superman, we can do this. We don't need Superman really all the time. But okay, we'll be together. And just what these three do, it's just terrific. You have this Hawk Girl who has this scream and this flying around, and her power is just using that voice, and then you have Green Lantern being able to make things out of the light and being able to hit things, and then you have this Mr. Terrific who, again, this is this
technological genius.
Well, for you guys are more into the comic world, especially you, Dan, than me. I'm thinking like Superman kind of working alone, and then there's Batman. But these three, I thought were just great characters to interact with Superman.
Dan or Matt, like you guys know, but like how prominent is Mr. Terrific though in the comics? I mean, depends
on the comics.
Yeah.
And I think if I remember correctly, there's also some appearances in because I loved the Superman animated series that came after Batman, the animated series, which I thought was very faithful to the character and really hit the tone. And by the way, the best Lex Luthor ever is Clancy Brown.
Yep.
Yeah. Sure. But what was great about Justice League, they did Justice League and then they did Justice League Unlimited. And in both those series, they started bringing in all these characters. And it was just a joy to see like the Question. And I believe Mr. Terrific was in there. But once again, James Gunn does that thing of getting this, not incredibly prominent superhero.
Yeah.
And making him interesting, really interesting.
Yeah.
And giving him a character, a personality. I just love that. And Hawkgirl is great. I enjoy Hawkgirl more for her character than really say her powers, because it really is. We've talked about the whole Hawkman thing before, which is, it is a guy flying around with some wings and he's got a hammer and right. But it's funny. It's like it's like the Avengers, a mace. Yes. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah. Right.
But it just seems like in every superhero team, there's got to be one of them who's kind of just like Hawkeye in the Avengers.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's got these incredible, Thor, the power of a god, and I'm a really good archer.
I shoot arrows.
I'm the best archer.
It's like Green Arrow.
Yeah. And so, Hawkgirl is, she has her mace. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
And she's flying around hitting people and she can scream.
Yeah.
That's fun.
It's cool. And Matt, isn't like Guy Gardner in the comics was often like an anti-hero too, right? Because he's kind of like the punch first, ask questions later kind of guy, right?
Yeah. He's the asshole Green Lantern. And he was, once again, he was a major character in these, Kevin Maguire was the artist. And I believe Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis were the writers in this Justice League comic series. But anyway, there's a scene in one of those comics where Guy Gardner squares off with Batman and starts reading him the riot act for something, and Batman just knocks him out. Before he has a chance to even use the ring or anything, he's just like out cold.
Yeah.
And
goon in that comic. He's kind of a goon.
Yeah, but he's got a heart of gold. It's like that thing. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I tell you, I love Nathan Fillion in it, and I think if Gunn wasn't careful, he could have gone too much with a wacky comedy with Nathan. Yes. Yeah. But he didn't. He didn't. He did it just right. Nathan was great.
So good. I agree.
And I really like that. So.
And what's nice as far as like following a teaser in a way. Towards the very end, I had a feeling this was coming. We're actually introduced to Supergirl.
Yes.
Towards the very end, played by Millie Alcock. She was in the House of the Dragon. If people want to, where is she from? And it's just this brief little moment, but I think it gives you enough that we know there's a Supergirl movie that they're working on with her.
Right.
And just that little taste, I'm like, oh man, I can't wait for this.
And from what I've heard, it's going to be more of like a sci-fi spectacle in outer space and not, which is a good idea. Like, that's great.
And I love that stuff.
We kind of get a setup. It's like, well, where has she been? And it's like, well, she was out dealing with other
getting
planets.
Drunk.
She can only get drunk on planets with a red sun.
That's great.
She was
I love that.
Fun. She's younger, she's trying to shake things up a little bit. She didn't want to be on Earth all the time, and
she's a brat.
Girl.
She's a brat. Yes.
But just that little clip was enough to make me go, oh, imagine we feel that Superman is moderation and doing good.
He's the more level-headed of the two.
Yes, and Sean, he's not quite there yet.
Right, a little more immature.
Yeah, and there's something about it. And then the dog interacts with her. Just this little clip just got me excited, not only for the next Superman, but for the Supergirl film. And at the end, when my wife and my daughter were all looking at each other and go, oh, this was so fun. And it got us excited about what's coming up next. Yeah. Which is what Warner Brothers and James Gunn wanted to do.
Yeah.
James, you being such a fan, as well as myself, of Alan Moore, there were a lot of, to me, little homages to some of the things that I remember from Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, the 1986 story. And I think someone did tell me that this plot point was in a comic, but the idea of taking Superman's parents and making them bad, I thought that was a nice twist.
Jor-El and
That was
because it isn't illogical for his parents to have sent him a message like that. Our race is dying. Go repopulate.
Right.
Even though it's malicious, it's not that unrealistic.
No, in fact, there's an animated series based on a comic by Robert Kirkman called Invincible. And basically that's the story, which is that there's a Superman character that is revealed to be not a good superhero who's protecting the Earth, but actually the first wave of an advancing alien invasion.
With a mustache.
And this guy's son is now in this precarious place of like, well, do I follow in my dad's footsteps? Or do I become, the defender of Earth? But all that comes from Superman.
Well,
Right.
and the whole, that at the very end, the whole movies that he looks at for comfort are not from Krypton, but they're from Kansas.
Oh,
Because
That's
that was
great.
such a
That's a
That's a
powerful
great
Yeah.
idea.
moment.
He is of Earth.
I love the
Like there
parents.
is. Yeah. The parents are great.
First time I was genuinely affected by scenes with his parents in a movie.
Yeah.
Aside from the first one.
Yes, Glenn Ford. And hey, guys, talk about favorite characters. Peacemaker cameo. Come on.
Always.
Love it. Love it.
That made me laugh.
What did he say? He gives some of us more edgy guys that makes us look bad.
Yeah.
right.
People left and right, and he's annoyed with Superman for pointing out that he's a murderer.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And, isn't it interesting though, Dan, that you can see this film and you think, well, wait a minute, when Superman was created, doesn't everybody love Superman?
Yeah.
And you think about in today's society, not everyone would like Superman. And
No.
that is
We just
seen
saw
in-
that when the movie came out.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
He's
Right.
too this and that. He's never been. It's funny because he's the same Superman he always was, but then now all of a sudden he's too woke. He's always been that way. He's never been any other. Okay, if you watch the Zack Snyder cut, his Superman movie, at some point Superman does some things, but he's also not himself either. So I mean, the idea that Superman somehow became a Boy Scout or became this tolerant person is ridiculous.
I don't buy into the whole woke thing. To me, it's just like if you're telling a good story that feels authentic, then you're doing a good job. And
Exactly.
I'm not going to buy into any of that.
No, this is just an example of how every single piece of popular entertainment is now fodder for the culture wars. Toxic
right.
culture
That's right.
wars.
I'm not doing it.
God forbid
No.
some like positive, just fun fucking movie comes out that people can enjoy without like
Yeah.
it's
About a
unbelievable.
super-powered nice man.
It's
Yeah,
fascinating, though. It's fascinating. I was curious to see what the movie did on its second weekend, so I typed in YouTube Superman box office, and there were all these videos full of fan hate saying, "Oh, Superman bombed, Superman." No, it didn't.
No, it didn't. It made like $1 billion.
Great.
Like it's doing
They were
great.
wishing that it bombed.
Yeah.
Why would you
Isn't that
want
weird?
that?
Like what's wrong with us?
They want Gunn off of it. They don't want Gunn, and Gunn is who you want. I mean, I'm so happy Gunn has now cemented his position.
Yes.
If it was ever in question, it's definitely not in question now.
Well, Dan,
You would think there'd be pro guns.
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah.
Don't you think, Dan? Don't you think to put someone in charge that really understands and loves this stuff?
Yeah.
We've talked about this before. When I went to see Guardians of the Galaxy, I was not aware of the comic. I had no idea. I had no concept. I went in there going, well, I'll just be surprised. And my gosh, I loved it. And I thought James Gunn is just brilliant.
Well,
Here's a guy who understands and loves the stuff. He has a passion for it. You can't look at this film and say, he didn't care. God, I think he loved it. And he did so many wonderful things with it. I think that's the guy I'm just saying, this is the guy you want in charge of this universe. And all due respect to Zack Snyder, look, he did some really neat things, but I think like what Sean had said about bringing back the fun, the happiness, the color,
The heart,
and the comic, the heart. That's what's back. And that's what makes me so happy. And it made my daughter, who was not a fan of Superman, it made her a fan.
Right.
Although, one problem I have with the film, not enough Alan Tudyk.
Yeah, the robots are great.
One of my favorite moments in the whole movie is, well, I gave you a name. It's four. Gary is a name.
Gary, that was funny. Yes, the robots who are taking care of the Fortress of Solitude, which is it was beautiful, it was wonderful. I loved all of those little robots.
He's also the voice of the robot in Andor, right?
Oh,
He's a robot voice for like
he's who you go to.
Robot.
He's your robot go-to voice.
You're in typecast.
I love that he's telling you how it's all a sham. His care and his devotion is it's all programmed. He has to tell you that everything he's doing is programmed. He doesn't really care whether the dog lives or dies. He's programmed to do this. My son Shane he's in the studio and he's my studio, and he's been listening in because he loved the film. He became a Superman fan because of it.
Yeah.
Are you going to wear a Superman shirt to school every day? No, but he's going to wear a Superman shirt to school, and he's going into high school as a freshman. So that's not easy to wear a superhero shirt every day.
I bought this Superman onesie pajama thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Years ago.
A snug.
And I just came upon it. And I thought, now in my this time in my relationship with my wife, it might be time to dust that thing off and get busy.
On. Yeah. In the winter, those snuggies are keeping nice and toasty.
To enter a different Fortress of Solitude.
Speaking of which, just like the whole thing with the glasses and not being able to tell it's Clark Kent, I love the idea that the Fortress of Solitude can just lower itself into the ground.
Yeah.
It's so simple, but that's why it can't be detected.
I totally agree, Sean.
That was a great idea.
It was new, but I bought it.
Superman movie.
Yeah. Google Maps made it really difficult to have it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Lex seems to be able to get into every Fortress of Solitude in every single movie.
That bastard.
Superman returns. Kevin Spacey. I mean, Lex. He walks right into the Fortress of Solitude. I'm not even going to tell you how he does it. The Fortress of Solitude is apparently it's the easiest thing to break into. It doesn't matter if it comes in and out of the ground. I mean, why in this film? Because he's got Superman's DNA from a strand of his super hair.
Well,
that's true.
Look, in fairness, we have to agree that it's the Fortress of Solitude and no one else can get in there, but it shows how brilliant Lex Luthor is.
True.
Each time he figures out a way how to get there.
Well, and I do appreciate that there is that nod to the 78 Donner film because the fortress is still the ice crystals and the music still retains the fanfare that we know and love. And the end
There's little
credits are
inklings
still
of this. Yes.
Yeah.
Team is in the mix.
Well, this has breathed some life into the Superman franchise, and I hope we get more of it because, as I said before, it's been hit and miss over the years.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And for the longest time, when it came to Batman and Superman, my favorite Batman and Superman were from the animated series. And
right.
Both of those showed that you can do this right. It doesn't have to be ridiculously Tim Burton-esque. You can root it in a somewhat fanciful version of reality and still have it be taken seriously. I mean, I think the first Superman movie showed us that. And I don't know why filmmakers veer away from that. It's very strange. It's like in any superhero movie when they don't want to have the character wear the costume. It's okay if you bulk it up or do something.
Or they want to tone down the color. I'm so sick of seeing these movies where they tone down the colors. I mean, it's so great to live in a time, and I think Gunn is a big part of this. Gunn started out in the Marvel universe with a bunch of characters that no one knew about or cared about. That was great for him because he could show everything he could do, and he didn't have all the baggage and all the caveats and the kind of rule book that he would have for Superman. And so now he comes into Superman with this big rule book, basically, right? And all this pressure, kind of like what I was saying before, all the pressure of all the things that came before, and he still did it right. He had to kind of avoid things that had been done before, but he came up with cooler ideas, and he didn't have to do that stuff. So the fact that he was able to show everybody what he could do with the Guardians of the Galaxy, in fact, he changed the whole trajectory of Thor, because if I'm not mistaken, Guardians made more money or almost more money than both first two Thor movies put together.
Wow.
And he showed them what they could do differently. And then you get, Taika comes in and he starts doing the really, they start injecting humor and pop culture and
way too much.
Way too much.
Well, yeah, but the thing is that there was that's a whole other conversation talking about
Taika
comic to screen. I mean, the way I look at it is there's the Thor comic that I loved when I was growing up by a few different people who did it right, and then there's the movie version. They're two different things.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Superman, you feel like Superman, this film, and Superman in the comics, they're much more in tandem, and I can't wait to see what Gunn does. He loves comics. He loves superheroes. He loves tertiary characters. Yeah, pull in Phantom Stranger and Black Orchid.
Yeah.
I'd love to see what he does with Swamp Thing. Because
Absolutely.
he can balance the humor with the fandom, the fact that we don't want to see Goofy all the time. Another thing I was going to say was in the Superman 2, which has always been one of my favorite Superman films. I was rewatching it with my son after we'd seen Superman the first time, the new one. And I started kind of getting a little anxious watching it, because especially when you get to the Fortress of Solitude, because all of a sudden there's all these magic powers that happen.
Yeah.
I hate that.
All these things. And one of my friends, who's a very astute guy, Alex Grand, comics historian, said, I think it has to do with the fact that he's in the Fortress of Solitude and it amplifies the abilities. Because it's the only way to explain why.
I don't buy that. To me, that wasn't in the Donner cut. And that's the thing, because to me, if you watch the Donner cut, it took that crap out. Like we can get to that to a point, but
like where he throws the S off his chest.
It makes, and they create holographic doubles of themselves. To me, it was the producers going, this was after Donner left.
Yeah.
They go, they're aliens, right? They can do anything. It's like, it was terrible.
And Sean, just in fairness, just to let everyone know, right? Richard Donner, who's just brilliant, who really figured out how to make Superman fly the right way.
Sure.
And what happened, because he was spending so much time, they were going to do these two films at the same time. He was basically fired. He was fired after
we should talk about the first Superman. Yeah.
Working on the second one, and they brought in Richard Lester, who the producers had worked with on The Three Musketeers.
Which is, by the way, those are two great films.
Yes.
Yes.
Movies. They are amazing.
But the moment they brought Lester in, the franchise jumped the shark.
Because you can see the cracks. You can see the cracks in two. I'm telling you, it's like, okay, the first Superman. You put it into perspective. First of all, Richard Donner's Superman was 47 fucking years ago, guys.
Yeah,
and
it still is fresh.
Think about that? Like, okay, so but Star Wars had just come out. Studios realized we can make big budget, escapist, effects-filled movies. Let's do Superman. But like you said, Larry, Richard Donner was the perfect choice, because he said, if we're going to make Superman, we have to make it grand and mythic and respectful and epic, like a David Lean film.
Yes.
And that's what he did. And of course, you're dealing with the effects for the time. But at that time, the effects were incredible. And it's because of Donner's commitment to that you can still watch that movie and get choked up. It blows you away. Like, my wife and I watched all the Superman movies leading up to before we saw the Gunn film. And you forget how great the original Superman film is before Christopher Reeve even shows up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the whole stuff with him growing up on the farm, and Glenn Ford, like when he stops and realizes he's having a heart attack, all that stuff is so
really
beautifully done. It's so good. And the chemistry and the Daily Planet stuff is great. It just crackles. It's like His Girl Friday. All the stuff with the newspaper stuff is great. Right. It's probably John Williams' most powerful and emotional story.
Music.
Now, it isn't a perfect movie, because I really think that the flying sequence with him and Lois, up until she starts doing the spoken word stuff. Can you read my mind? You can fly.
I didn't mind that.
Sky.
I loved it. I loved it.
Up until then, you had this great long sequence of them flying without saying a word.
You don't need that.
They just stopped it right there. And other than that, and some of the miniature effects when the dam's breaking looks like a Godzilla movie out of the '60s with the models.
That's not necessarily a bad thing, though.
But it's true for me. Like, there's so much care taken up to a point, and then the whole last half hour becomes, to me, like the Universal tram ride. Oh, there's a flood. There's an earthquake. There's a fire. It just starts to get a little too all over the map.
And flying around the world to
I know, but
I love that.
is a bit of a cop out.
But it's a fantasy.
It's Superman.
I loved it because I had never heard or seen anything like that. I know what you guys are saying, but I love that whole thing where when he starts to fly, and then you have the image of his father say, "You must not change the course of history."
Sure,
to me, that was a very powerful thing.
There's no repercussion either. He says, "You must not do it." And
but there is in Superman 2.
Repercussion. So what was the point of even saying that if there was no backlash to show why he shouldn't have done it? Because all it was just a really ridiculous, great way to fix everything that you could do. He could do once a week if he wants. Which
do it all the time, right?
The Dustus Machina. Yeah, it's yeah.
But
still,
thought a little about it too much. To me, I just let it flow over.
I still go with it.
Hook,
I'm still fine. And then you get to Superman 2.
He turns back time. I didn't have to think about it at all. I think they should have thought about it a little better.
Yeah.
It doesn't take
Cher did.
So this is dumb. What are they doing?
Well, and also if you turn the Earth back in the other direction, it wouldn't turn back time. It would create a global catastrophe.
You destroy the Earth.
But go back to, but James, you could go back to the comic book. That's a comic book. You would see that in a Superman comic.
Yes.
It's fine.
Yes.
It's
okay,
fine.
I'm too literal.
But see, with Richard Lester though, with Richard Lester, I forgot that he directed 3 because you see the unraveling, as you were talking about, Sean, of Superman 2, where you have all this great stuff with Zod, and then you'll have scenes like, Zod is blowing everything, and then you got the guy who's still on the phone and the phone booth. Is that out of the Three Stooges,
and it's ice cream cone.
Yeah, right. It's like you don't need any of that.
Oh
Why
my
not?
God.
And he purposely did not want to go the David Lean route. So I'm a little sad that he was the replacement director as much.
He was not right.
As there are some wonderful things in that movie.
Of course. Look, this is the guy who directed Hard Day's Night and The Three Musketeers. He's a great director for that kind of stuff. He wasn't good for Superman.
Let's not forget that during that 3 of them blowing everybody around for way too long. There's a lot of Marlboro commercials happening. Very prominent Marlboro cigarette van that gets knocked around half the thing, and then there's like some taxi cabs with Marlboro signs. I was watching that going, what the hell?
Wow. Hey, they threw in a few bucks, okay?
Or how about General Zod flying over Mount Rushmore and shooting a laser and magically turning all the faces into Zod, and like, what the fuck? And also talk about magic, the magic kiss that makes Lois forget everything. That's terrible. It's sloppy.
Because once again, just like the time machine thing, if you knew you could do that, where you could just kiss a lady and then she forgets all the shit that you did, you'd be doing that all the time.
But see, the thing is,
for cool superhero movies.
Yeah.
Well, people.
But see, in Richard Donner cut, he took all that out. He took out all the wacky stuff with the ice cream cone and the toupee. He took out the Mount Rushmore scene. He took out the emblem that turns into a net. Like, he took out all that stuff. He made it. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than the
it's the definitive
cut.
Superman 2. Anybody who hasn't already seen, even if you have seen Superman 2, watch the Donner cut. It's just better. There's more Jor-El too. There's more Brando in it.
Yes. Yeah.
People may ask, people may want to know, well, why was Marlon Brando not in the second one? Well, the truth of the matter was that he had an issue with the producers. He wanted more money. He thought he was owed more money. The producers thought that, you know what? We don't need him. We'll get the wife to do it. I mean, everyone's going to see Superman anyway. No one's going to care about Jor-El.
He was too expensive, and he was too difficult to work with, just like Apocalypse Now.
Yes.
That's his MO.
It's a shame. It's such a shame because, like Sean said,
he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do any of this stuff. They offered him. They threw so much money at him that he went in there and he was probably a big pain in the ass. You know what I really like about the third one is when he. Come on, I'm going to say it. When he splits.
Yeah.
To dirty, filthy, unshaven Superman. And then they have that fight in the junkyard. That is is so fun.
Everything about that movie. Here's the thing. To me, Superman 3 I despise way more even Superman 4, because when you find out that Warner Brothers sold the rights to Canon Films for Superman 4, you expect it to be a piece of shit. But Superman 3 was coming off of Superman 2, which is a big hit too. It's like, talk about a betrayal. Like, it's inexcusable.
The poster says it all.
Yes.
Because when you've got Superman flying with Richard Pryor going, then
what?
Yeah, it was a sellout of a movie.
Another thing, though, when the producers, when the whole idea when they were making that Superman back in 77 going to 78, they were saying to themselves, we're putting a lot of money. We're going to make 2 films at the same time. So they're putting up a lot of money. And I think this is like with Planet of the Apes, where you put all this money up front. It's successful. Okay, for the second film and the third film, I'm going to spend less money. because I already have a fan base. And so it's like you try to make these films cheaper, so you're going to have all these people go to it so you can make more money.
Yeah,
And
but the difference is that every Apes film at least tried something unique and different. They didn't put Richard Pryor in the fucking movies,
I agree. No, I agree with you, Sean. And for me, I still look at the Donner's Superman, the first one in '78. That is my Superman. I don't really watch number 2, 3, or 4.
Oh, we just did because we went into leading up. No, right? They're excruciating. I'm telling you. Like Superman 3 also treats. Richard Pryor is supposed to be like a computer genius. They treat computer technology as like magic. It's like it makes no sense. And Matt, talk about slapstick. The opening credit sequence. It's like the Benny Hill show.
Yes, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
And it has a Benny Hill actor in it.
Yes, you're right. They're one of the
old guy. Yeah,
unbelievable. It's so it's sad and it's like a slap in the face to everybody who likes
slap on the head.
It's like if you look at the first 2 films, at least the way the whole opening goes, it doesn't make sense. But I can see it's like, well, Richard Pryor's a big comedian. People love him. We need to make.
If you're making a Richard Pryor movie,
we're gonna make it more comical.
But they had paid attention to the script in the first one. They paid attention to the director that they chose because there was care involved. Because the production was that expensive and that important. Then after the first one made all that money, and then the second one did okay, they were like, okay, we can phone it in. We know we're going to make money.
That's what they did. And I was reading about the making of all the films, and like the original treatment for Superman 3 by the Salkind, it involved like Brainiac and Supergirl and time traveling to the Middle Ages. Like what? That sounds awesome.
Cool. Sounds good.
And supposedly, I don't know. Supposedly, the legend is that the only reason Richard Pryor was in Superman 3 is because the Salkinds saw him on Johnny Carson, and when he was talking about how much he loved Superman, let's put him in. Okay, like it's like, what the fuck? It's like, I guess again, like I'm more angry at Superman 3 than Superman 4 because Superman 4 I can almost enjoy in like a ridiculous.
It's like made by like Full Moon,
Yeah. I mean, it's also sad. It's completely sad as a movie, but I don't hate it the way I hate Superman.
You know what, though? Now with technology, I would love to see somebody do a reboot of Superman 4 using some of the original footage and changing all the effects, making them, up to speed, because it is the last gasp for Christopher Reeve as Superman, and you've got Margot Kidder, and you've got Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
Maybe you can do something with it, like technically, to make it better.
Yeah. It's a dream I have. What do you guys think? Okay, I want to say one last thing about the first Superman movie, and then I wanted to ask you about something else real quick.
Sure.
So, as a kid, I love the scene where Superman goes back to the diner, which I guess is in Antarctica or on the way to walking to and from Antarctica. That's another thing. It was really the time where is the fortress? Is it in Antarctica or is it like up in the hills where it snows? That was so weird.
It's off the 405.
How do you walk out of Antarctica to a place where there's like a baseball hat wearing trucker?
It's called sloppy, terrible writing. That's what it is. Also, it makes
that's
Superman.
That's the first movie, by the way. That's not the right? That's the first movie.
No,
it's the second movie.
No,
that's
second
right.
one.
Second one.
And also, it makes Superman a petty, vengeful character.
No, that's what I was
terrible.
Yes.
That was my
terrible
point. Was as a kid, I love that he went back and taught that guy a lesson. But as an adult, you look at it and go, "Wow, that is not Superman behavior."
Yeah.
No.
Yes. Agreed.
Agree.
Superman would have, and Clark Kent could have talked to this guy because he's smart and he's super, and he could have put the guy in his place without lifting a finger against him.
Exactly.
But
and
they
if the
had
guy
to show you how weak he was, but he wasn't. That's another thing too. Is like because he doesn't have powers, he's now useless and weak. I mean, what kind of message is that?
Yeah. And if the revenge was he goes back to the diner and the guy hits him and breaks his hand and crawls off and doesn't get slammed into a pinball machine, then that's different at least.
Yeah, and don't set him up to punch you. Come in and say, I just want to say that, that was not cool what you did.
Right.
You know what I mean? These people are trying to come in here and have a nice time. And not only did you wreck the diner, you should be in jail right now. Do you even care at all? And the guy'd be like, I'll punch you out. And then he punches him in the face and he breaks his hand.
And
that
then
would have
it's
been
done.
perfect.
Yeah.
See, that's what Corn Sweat would have done.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, well, I know maybe Mr. Terrific would have just messed up his life. You know what I mean? Oh, my ATM card doesn't work. I'm in debt.
Right. Stole his identity. And
yeah. No, you're right. You're right. It's It's like it's lazy.
Night and day.
I don't care writing, you know.
Yeah.
And again, by the time we get to and with Superman 4, like at the time they made Superman 4, Canon was going through major financial difficulties. They had like no money. All their movies were bombing, and so it was like an Israeli team of special effects guy. I mean, the flying effects in the movie are so terrible.
Horrible.
I mean, they're awful. Everybody seems to be phoning it in, and Nuclear Man,
Nuclear Man, wow.
is so unbelievable. And it's just that movie. You watch it with your jaw dropped the whole way through. Like,
I remember being in the theater and watching when it came out, and just being like, why are they yucking it up? I mean, okay, Richard Pryor's great, but like, what had Richard Pryor done just at the point where they cast him that they thought, wow, look at this Richard Pryor movie. It made so much money. It did so well at the box office. Let's completely change the idea of Superman to some funny thing that becomes a Richard Pryor vehicle, because Christopher Reeve, no one gives a shit about. You know what I mean?
He was a big star.
Is there any equivalent? I'm trying to think if there's any equivalent though. But is there any equivalent of that when the franchise of either a superhero or something, a big, and just inserting some popular comedian of the time?
Well,
like,
with the third Batman movie,
Rob Schneider,
Jim Carrey,
Jim Carrey,
yeah.
Rob Schneider and Judge Dredd.
Yeah, maybe. But like this established, this is like the greatest superhero of
No,
and
I was joking about that, but no, you're right. They completely sold out. They did a real disservice to everything and everyone who was involved by taking it out of the hands of what it should have been, and the people that knew how to make it what it was, which is a successful Superman movie, and made it into a joke. And then the last one is such a joke. It's like they were just spinning their. There's a lot of cocaine being used back then,
or better or worse.
To be honest.
I think you're right. Like it's funny because that movie, talk about destroying a franchise. There wasn't another Superman movie for 19 years.
Right.
Yeah,
And
no one wanted to touch it with a 10-foot pole after that. I mean, after Batman came out, you would have thought that. Well, hey, remember?
Yeah.
Can we talk about the Nicolas Cage proposed?
Superman
thing.
I wanted to point out back in 2018, we had John Schnepp on our show.
That's right.
Who had done this amazing documentary. The episode we did was called Films That Never Were.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's great.
He talks about this documentary that he did all about that Tim Burton Superman. Now, he and I got in this argument because I thought some of the ideas were ridiculous. He goes, no, Larry, I think this would have been neat. But it's a fascinating documentary to find out how there was this Tim Burton, Nicolas Cage Superman movie that a lot of money was spent on.
Yeah, I would have really wanted to see that.
Is that the one that Kevin Smith was going to write, or is that a different one?
Originally, Kevin Smith was going to be writing it.
Right.
In fact,
then never mind.
There was a scene where a Superman fights polar bears in it.
No.
And ninjas.
Yeah.
This is a guy who loves Superman. And in the film, he explains how when John Peters explains to him, look, number one, he's not going to fly. I don't want him to fly. That's old hat. And Kevin says, okay, well, and that cape, no cape. And Kevin Smith is look, what how can we do that? That's the Superman thing. And Peters denies it now, but he went on to say with Kevin Smith that there were a lot of things like the red skivvies weren't there. There was going to be no cape, and he couldn't fly, so he would leap. He would actually, and it was
like he does
like the Hulk
in the beginning.
Yeah,
in the beginning he leaps, and I don't know. Does he have a cape in every? Okay, yeah. Well,
yeah, he does, but not.
It wasn't Tim Burton that wanted to do all that crazy stuff. It was Peters.
Yeah, and the thing is, if Tim Burton ended up making that Superman movie, I'm not saying it would have been like the ultimate Superman movie, but it probably would have been pretty interesting, though.
Yes,
I would just keep getting guys who hate Superman to make Superman films, because that's such a great plan.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Well, when Bryan Singer made Superman Returns, I mean, this is someone who had done a really great job with the X-Men.
Yes.
And you would think in his hands, this was going to be awesome.
Yeah. You know what, though? After watching it again recently, for me, the problem with that movie, I actually kind of like it. I liked it a lot more than the first time I saw it.
I like a lot of it.
Yeah, but what's weird is it's so trying to be an homage to the original Superman
Yes.
that it has no real identity of its own. Like Bryan Singer was just kind of trying to be Richard Donner through the whole thing. I mean, Brandon Ruth is trying to be Christopher Reeve. Spacey is doing Hackman. Posey Parker is doing Valerie Prine. Like, and not only that, they play
Posey.
Parker Posey. They play the John Williams music almost constantly through the entire movie. Like, but there's some stuff I actually kind of enjoyed it though. I
like stuff in it. Yeah.
I do too. And what's funny is I believe when anyone went to him to question about what he was doing, the director, he had a binder that had a picture of Nicolas Cage from the Tim Burton.
Oh, really?
And he said, let me get this straight. You guys wanted to make this. And he would hold up and it would shut any producer, any executive up because it's true.
That was
there was a lot of money that was put into that original idea. And by the way, that documentary is called The Death of Superman Lives.
Okay.
And if you haven't seen that documentary, I strongly suggest seeing it because
it's great.
It really is amazing. John did a fantastic job of interviewing everybody, including, well, with exception of Nicolas Cage, although they do have clips, including Tim Burton. And it really surprised me. I worked with a guy at Midland who went on to be one of the art directors on this. And the funny thing is I didn't realize when I met him at Warner Brothers one time, he couldn't tell me what he was working on. Now I know what it was. He was one of the artists who were coming up with all these crazy designs and artwork for this film.
Wow.
And looking back on it, Matt, I remember getting in a big argument with John. I think this is stupid. I think this is dumb. But looking back and thinking about what he had talked about and what they found, it would have been an interesting.
It would have been interesting. I don't know if it would have been good, but it would have been interesting.
It also would have been a potential beginning of a DCEU that Tim Burton would have started, and you might have seen a Michael Keaton, Nicolas Cage.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Well, what's weird? What's weird about Superman Returns also is that Superman Returns came out in 2006. So he was kind of like doing a sequel to the original Superman that came out in 1978. It was just a strange decision to do that. It did pretty well, but I guess it didn't do well enough for Warner Brothers to pursue more with that particular line of films.
My big takeaway on that movie, and I loved the Dawn of Superman, so I was like the target audience. The movie started with the Williams score and the titles, and I was like, my big takeaway was you've got Clark Kent, who's supposed to be this reporter, who's supposed to be digging up facts, who's completely missing what Lex Luthor is doing because he's mooning over Lois Lane. And all this time, all this running time, which is considerable, you're like, dude, do your job at least. Even if you're not going to be Superman and figure out what Lex is doing, at least be a reporter and figure out what Lex is doing.
It's way too long,
There's a little
it really
kid.
is.
Who cares? I mean, it lost me. I should see it again. I'll probably like it more, but that was my takeaway.
I think you'll be surprised. Like I said, it's not great, but I love the Luthor trying to terraform the Earth as with Krypton. That was cool. That was used later in the Snyder films.
Tarantino loves it.
Really?
He does. Yeah.
Tarantino loves a lot of things.
Well, I'm just throwing it out there.
And as much as I love Parker Posey, she's not Valerie Prine. So.
But she's trying to do Miss Tessmacher. She's totally doing her. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's absolutely flawed and it's way too long. But I certainly did not hate it as much as everybody else. I thought there was some great stuff in there. And it showed me that there is a potential to do a reboot of Superman and have it taken seriously.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm watching it again. I was watching it before this, and I was like, this isn't too bad. I'd only seen it once, so I feel like I need to see it again and kind of soak it in a little bit more. But I sort of like the fact that one thing that was kind of interesting is he goes out into space to see if he can find Krypton. That maybe it's still out there. I like that. I like the idea of Superman going into space for a movie. That would have been cool to see Christopher. I mean, they could have done so many things with Christopher Reeve. I feel the same way about Christopher Reeve and how he was wasted, and these Superman movies were wasted, as I do about Lucas spending all this time not making Star Wars movies when he could have been making them just because Harrison Ford said no. Like you could have been making all these cool ass your way I mean, he did. He went back and he did.
Yeah, no, we don't want it his way.
Well, I mean, I would have liked to see him take it from 1983 and keep going, and not necessarily make it more Ewok and everything, but like there were other things he wanted to do.
I'm telling you, you know what? You would have gotten more Ewok.
Yeah, and more Muppets. I think so.
He was done.
I think he was done. He had made so much money. He wanted to do other things.
Of course. I mean, I know all that, but it's like when you look back and you see that he had some ideas for what to do with Star Wars as he's selling it to Disney. He had ideas, and his ideas weren't that crazy. The idea of like a new generation, all that kind of stuff. And then they take over, and then he's just out of it. They have no interest in anything, any of his input, and he backs off. And I feel like there could have been some middle ground. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, sure.
But Christopher Reeve Superman was completely trashed and wasted and not appreciated. And yes, it's all hindsight, because we lost him and everything. But man, he was just. I mean, I felt that way about George Reeves too. George Reeves, I felt, was a great Superman because he had this thing where he didn't change his character. He wasn't an intentional goofball character for everybody else. He was always a kind of bemused alien watching humans scramble around like a bunch of dimwits and just kind of looking back and going, wow, and shaking his head a lot. Like, Dan.
I never liked that show. Never. Dan, I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now. I've tried to go back to it, and I've tried to enjoy it just for nostalgia's sake.
Yeah.
And it does nothing for me. And it's amazing to me that it lasted as long as it did.
People who don't know, you mentioned George Reeves. If you don't know, from 1952, there was a TV series called The Adventures of Superman, with George Reeves. Not everyone knows about it.
Started in black and white, went in color.
Yeah. And this is a lot
of very practical special effects. There was one I watched where Superman goes into a room. He knows there's a Tommy gun set up on this side of the door, and he kicks it open. The Tommy gun shoots him, and then when he's done, he walks out and he kind of rubs his shoulder. And it's like, oh, what? Was he like, no, because this is a kind of a cool thing. So what happened was they set it up so he'll get shot with a Tommy gun. And one of the bullets they use is kryptonite. And they discover that that's the one that hit him and actually did some damage to him. Unfortunately, Superman did not see the camera that was behind a mirror behind the Tommy gun. I don't know, maybe just a little distracted. But it was kind of an interesting thing. But then you see another one later on when it's in color where Superman... You have to see this. It's on YouTube. Lois and Jimmy are down in a well or something, and they're trapped. And then Superman's down there, and he's been hit with kryptonite, so he's weak. And the walls start closing in like the garbage compactor. And so Superman does this thing where he levitates Lois into a lateral position, like a magician.
Tell me more.
And then he uses her levitating Lois midair to hold the walls back.
What? Wow. Okay.
Laterally to keep the walls from closing in. So her head and her.
Was that directed by Richard Lester? That sounds like a scene. He was
it sounds great.
But see, Matt, I agree. I know the show was hugely popular at the time. It was sponsored by Kellogg's cereal. But Matt, I agree with you that I could never get it. I thought George Reeves himself was fine. Me too. But the show was so poverty stricken and so claustrophobic, and there was like gangsters and it was like robbers.
It was pedestrian. Very pedestrian.
Yeah, very true. Like that, George Reeves was the only reason to watch it because I don't like Lois. I don't like Jimmy. Oh, by the way, Jimmy Olsen is the bartender in Superman Returns. Also. And I don't like I don't really care for any of that stuff. Yes, it was really frustrating as a kid to watch that show, even in the 70s, because it was so stripped down to almost nothing, and but it had kind of a cool opening. But George Reeves was all
George Reeves even. I mean, George Reeves was like he looked like he was an insurance salesman. Like he didn't look like Superman to me, and I thought he was. I mean, he's fine, I guess, but he's super wooden and
but for kids at the time in the 50s, I think he was a good role model.
Another thing too, as it was really, really popular, and so was George Reeves. So much so that he makes an appearance as himself as Superman on an episode of I Love Lucy that at the time was like the #1 rated show.
Yeah.
So you got to say to yourself, they wouldn't do that if it wasn't successful.
Oh no, it was very successful.
He also it kind of was about to launch him into a movie career too.
Didn't George Reeves as Superman come from a movie first before Adventures of Superman?
Exactly. That's what I say. People forget that Superman by Richard Donner was not the first feature-length Superman film. It was
Superman and the Mole Men.
Correct, from 1952.
Starring George Reeves.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that. Yeah, I don't know.
It was like Robert Lippard Pictures. Robert Lippard made a lot of like low budget sci-fi movies in the 50s. And this was kind of a test to see how the character would do, because it was kind of really, in a way, a backdoor pilot for the TV show.
Right.
And it was barely over an hour. And it was these little mole men, which is these little people, actors. Some of them were actually munchkins from The Wizard of Oz. They were like little bald kind of, like guys that come out of the ground because there's like drilling going on. And they're like friendly, but they're scared. They scare people because they glow in the dark. And
can Superman defeat them?
He does. Superman does barely. But amazingly, if you watch it, you see George Reeves like, oh, I'm off, and he like flies, and you don't cut him flying. You just like people look up and
adorable.
Like one shot. There's like one shot. I think it's almost like an animated cartoon shot, kind of like the Kirk Allen. Where you see him fly, but there's so little effects in it. But if you watch that movie now, you can watch it more as a low budget 50s sci-fi movie, because you got the Mole Men more than a Superman movie. But you're right. That was the first theatrical version of Superman.
And isn't Superman also the point is that he's teaching the townspeople not to be prejudiced against the Mole Men?
Right.
They're not villains. Just like the typical gangsters in those.
Yeah.
Like every episode of Justice League cartoon, they're misunderstood. If only you had the water instead of just taking it from our ocean, we would have.
Or Super Friends, yeah,
Super Friends. That's what I meant. Sorry. Yeah, we're not as lucky as the kids that came after, because that's what we had. We had George Reeves on every afternoon in reruns, and then later on we got Super Friends. But the kids in the 90s got Superman Adventures. And we didn't have Superman movies in the 90s, but we had that excellent show that followed the Batman Adventures. And I think that kind of really cleared up all those crazy Superman things that happened in the third and fourth movies. Having the Warner Brothers cartoon in the 90s really elevated Superman again.
Superman the animated series. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Wow.
It really elevated the character where he should be.
And Smallville was supposed to be really good too, right?
Right.
I never watched that.
Yeah, I never watched.
Was that good?
I've heard that Smallville is really good, and then there's another one called Lois
and Clark.
Lois and Clark. That was a TV series from 93 to 97.
Terry Hatcher vehicle. I mean, it was all.
Yeah.
Well, and Dean Cain.
Yeah.
Who he looked.
Right.
He looked like a Superman, but still, to me, Christopher Reeve was the ultimate.
I have a Hollywood story that I have to share now. Otherwise, I don't know if I'll ever get the opportunity. And I might have shared this before, but real quick, I moved to LA right in early '94, and I was working as a temp. And one of my temp jobs was at the Warner Brothers building, working for the studio store, matching receipts to purchases of people who had bought things at the studio store. One of the receipts I saw had Brent Spiner's signature on it. I was like, oh, well, it's funny the things you remember. But my supervisor took me on a walking tour of the Warner Brothers lot. And there was a circle of people standing around Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher. And Dean Cain was in costume. And I see him put his fist up like he's about to fly, and he rises like 7 feet in the air. I was like, holy shit. Well, he was on a compressor. But it was one of those moments like, welcome to Hollywood. You just saw Superman fly.
Right.
Cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's another show, though, that I never watched.
Yeah, neither did I.
Guys, if we could, can we just talk a bit about the two guys who created Superman?
Sure.
Back in 1938, it was April 18th, 1938, that famous Action Comics #1 came out. And on the cover, it has Superman holding up the green car. And the funny thing about it is, my understanding is the Superman little comic, it was a section in this particular magazine or comic book.
Comics.
And it was actually an afterthought. It was something that the comic guys who were putting it together for Action Comics weren't going to do it. And it was kind of because someone either didn't have their assignment done, and yet they had the Superman thing, and they decided to put that in there. And that comic with that picture or that drawing is like the most expensive comic ever. This has sold for over $1 million. Actually, I think one is just sold not too long ago for $3 million in really great shape. And it's amazing to me how something that was made by two guys, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, and they created something that has lasted, such a long time. And now we have a brand new movie. I mean, who would have thought, if these guys would have known, that Superman would turn into this? It's just mind-boggling.
Over time, they realized what was happening because they did not see the spoils of Superman. They sold the whole thing off, and for the longest time never got another dime until I think it was a lot later that someone took pity on them, or one of them, and gave them some money.
One of them actually sold the rights or bought the rights from the other one, and then controlled it completely for a while.
Yeah.
What it was that he could control, I don't know which one it was.
Well, but both guys have since passed away, but I know the estate of each family has tried to do things where they were trying to get the rights back or whatnot, and they made certain deals. It's gone to trial and stuff. It's really a shame.
Yeah.
But Sean had mentioned that the Donner version was like from 47 years ago. Here's a comic book character was made back in 1938, and here we have a brand spanking new movie.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Now, did anyone have a Superman toy when they were growing up? Did you guys?
I had the Mego Superman.
The Mego.
Did you guys have the Mego?
That was like the only one.
Well, no. Back in the 40s, one of the very first Superman toys to be made was a wooden Superman. And he had like a little elastic band inside of him. It was made out of wood. And because it was made out of wood, it was hand painted. They had an idea as to how the S is supposed to look, but because it was hand painted, those S's are not all the same. It wasn't a sticker. It was painted. So the funny thing is, if you find some of these now, they're like worth over like, $1,000, $2,000, depending on the condition. But the S's are different. In fact, Bob Burns, who, Sean, you've been to his house, right? Bob Burns, when he was a kid, he was so excited about this toy. And I think his dad or his uncle said, go ahead, pick one. And he couldn't decide between these two wooden Supermen because the S's were different. So his uncle or dad said, just get both. So he has both. He has two with different S's. But I have the little rubber jiggler, from 1973.
Oh, yeah, I remember
rubber, that. And you could have an elastic string. But one of the strangest toys, it's not really a toy. Did anyone have Crazy Foam from 74?
Oh, yeah.
I remember it.
Like
I never had it, but
it was it's a tube that had compressed foam that you would have in the bathtub. And the hilarious thing is you would press a button in the back and foam would come out of Superman's mouth. And it was a little gross in a way. Superman's there.
They're nanites.
If you find them on eBay, that still have the soap in them from 1974. They go for about $175, $200. You can find a used can though, I think, for $25.
Yeah,
it's a little
pass.
Hilarious.
Pass on that.
No, you don't want soap to come out of Superman's mouth.
No, thank you. One Superman that we haven't talked about yet, which I believe is the first screen Superman, is Kirk Allen from the series.
Yeah.
And they're okay. They really feel like every other superhero serial of the time. They had the same kind of budget and production value, although they did feature animated flying sequences, which were kind of cool. But I always thought Kirk Allen was a pretty good Superman, especially his look.
He was a younger looking than the Reeves.
Yeah. He was more athletic looking than Reeve. I will say that. Yeah.
And Matt, I remember seeing in the back of Famous Monsters magazine, they would sell little Super 8 or 8 millimeter reels of that Superman.
Yeah, and Lois Lane was played by Noelle Neal in the serial, and she later became Lois Lane in the TV show.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
And that had followed the radio show, which was hugely popular. And from what I understand, had invented a lot of things that weren't originally in the comics. Like in the comics, he could leap tall buildings, but he couldn't fly. Well, in the radio program, they had him fly.
Was it the radio? Because I thought it was the Max Fleischer animated cartoons where he actually flew for the first time.
No. In the Fleischer cartoons, he leaped.
Yeah, from the 40s, yeah.
Are you sure? I thought in the cartoon they finally made him fly.
Well, and maybe in later cartoons, but I know in the very first one, because I have it on 16 millimeter.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. And awesome. And they do the standard opening of
right.
Faster than a speeding bullet.
Yes, right.
Tall buildings in a single bound.
Yeah. But he would leap over the building. It was not flying, it was leaping.
Yeah, right.
And by the way, all of that stuff, the faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, that's all from Fleischer.
Yeah, I think also, I think the phone booth costume change is also something that was introduced in the cartoons too. Yeah, which is amazing. It wasn't even in the comics originally.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with the Fleischer cartoons, Superman cartoons from the 1940s,
amazing.
You'll be blown away because they are gorgeous.
Beautiful.
And
they come with a disclaimer now.
They're in the public domain, and they have been ever since.
But the official versions have a disclaimer at the beginning. It says these were made at a time when racial attitudes were different.
Well, because it started out with more sci-fi fighting giant robots, then they got more into World War II enemies. Yeah.
When you have a cartoon called The Japoteers, you know that it was a different time.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. And Dan, you mentioned that it's in public domain. That is true. But sometimes when you see some of these things on YouTube, it's not the cleanest, crispest
it's not.
version.
True. You have to be careful.
What was really cool is when we saw this latest version, they showed a Fleischer cartoon right before it. And
they
did. And it was gorgeous.
Huh.
Nice.
Wow, that's so neat.
Yeah.
What theater chain was that?
We saw it at it's this newer theater chain. It's called the Alamo, I think.
Oh, Alamo. Yeah, of course. That makes sense.
And here in the San Jose area, Bay Area, they've put up all this Godzilla posters, and there's digital Godzilla, and so of course I tell my wife, hey, I want to go to this theater with all the Godzilla posters and stuff, and so they showed the cartoon, and then there was like a little documentary. It was so great. It made me feel like going back to the old days of seeing movies where they had a cartoon before, but. Yeah, you can buy those on DVD too.
I think they're on Blu-ray now. Nicely done.
Yeah, they are. And you can also, if you want to get them for free, you can also go to archive.org. And there are several people who have downloads of varying quality. And I found a really nice one that was enhanced just a tad. But it looks great. And, those cartoons, I started collecting Super 8 films at a very young age. And I loved it. And I would collect as many as I could find given my budget. It got to I think it was in high school where some company had released 4 or 5 of the Fleischer cartoons, and they were really nice prints, just amazing color. And I remember showing them in high school, and there was a film production class, and everybody looked at me as like, why do you have these? Because they're beautiful. They're gorgeous. And then later I got them on 16 millimeter, but those were always the gold standard for Superman for me, aside from the movie. That's why I loved when they did Batman, the animated series, and Superman. Clearly they were trying to follow in the footsteps of those Fleischer cartoons.
Yes. Right. He's been highly regarded in comics, and like I said, Steve Rude was looking at the Fleischer stuff and trying to do that version of Superman when you get World's Finest, because it's the high watermark of Superman. There was a long time, and I don't know if it really has changed with a lot of people, where that was when you talked about the best adaptation of Superman outside of comics, it was those cartoons. And I think in a lot of ways, if you cut out the racism and the fact that it was wartime, they are the best adaptations, in a lot of ways.
There's one in particular. There's one just for the color of it and the epic spectacle of it. And it's called Volcano, where a volcano erupts and endangers everyone, and Superman has to save the day. And the color and the detail of the lava flowing on everything. And then Superman doing his best to get in the way of the lava or save Lois because she's in the direct line of the lava flow. So he puts his whole body in front of her, and all that stuff is just beautiful.
Yeah, they're amazing.
I've actually been trying to find the best transfer of them for like Blu-ray or DVD, and it's hard to know because I mean, there's no one saying, "Hey, this is the definitive one," you know?
Yeah.
And then they're like really, and then sometimes they're trying to get a lot for them. They shouldn't be trying to get a lot for them. They're not costing them anything.
Archive.org. Go to archive.org and download them.
Oh, okay.
Lately, one of my guilty pleasures has been watching. There's a YouTube guy called Strider HD who does AI deepfake trailers of movies that never were. Like,
I've seen some of those. After a while, though, they get kind of the same.
Yeah, but they made me laugh out loud a lot. And if you ever really wanted to just see what Rock Hudson would look like in Superman, or Clint Eastwood as Wolverine, and after a while, it's ridiculous. And sometimes they don't really look like who they're supposed to look like. But just the fact that it's just balls to the wall, and it makes me laugh.
Right.
And apologies to Randall Perkins.
Well, so after Superman Returns, which was 2006, again, that was this like blatant homage really to the Donner Superman. But we didn't have another Superman until 2013. That's with Zack Snyder's Man of Steel.
Yeah.
And this was the first with Henry Cavill. And, it's funny too, because again, after watching all these films again, and this is something my wife Gina pointed out when we watched that. She's like, "This is barely even a Superman movie. It's like this alien invasion movie, with Zod and the monsters and the spaceships, which isn't necessarily bad, but I like the Krypton stuff in that film in the beginning.
That was my favorite part.
Yeah,
the minute they leave Krypton, it goes downhill.
Like, I love the way they did that kind of like the Krypton technology, and they showed Jor-El like riding this kind of cool winged creature. I was like, really? They just fully realized the world of Krypton. I love that. And actually, I liked Michael Shannon as Zod. I thought that was a good updating of a very threatening Zod. He was great.
Me too.
But it became so involved, all the alien invasion stuff. It did seem like it was a Superman film. And by the time you got to the big battle, and that's the film was so criticized for all the insane collateral damage that was done by the fight. But first it was all the spaceships and the other Zod minions. But then by the time you get to the one-on-one with Superman and Zod, it's like, oh my God. It was like, all right already.
CGI slog.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the way he again, this is a show with spoilers. The way he kills Zod is so silly because he's fighting him for 45 minutes, and then the way he does him in it's just terrible. It's like I think they ran out of ideas. They didn't know what to do. It was the start of that kind of Snyder dark, in your face, pummel you into submission, which reached its zenith with Batman versus Superman. But it was just not really the Superman that I kind of wanted.
Well, Sean,
I mean?
would you say, because I think we talked about this before, that line that was crossed was the moment when he kills Zod with the neck thing, okay?
Right.
And it was like, would Superman really do that? That was the thing.
And I think that with the collateral damage crossed the line even before that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, it was just like
in defense. I will say, Sean, I did like Henry Cavill. I thought I
thought he was good.
Okay.
He's built like what I thought Superman would be like. But I did miss the Christopher Reeve outfit. I understand. He goes, I want to get rid of this red skivvies. That's ridiculous. Okay, I understand. The suit was neat. I like going back to that look. But the Zack Snyder, it had a darker tone.
Yeah. It started down the wrong path as far as I'm concerned, because by the time you get to Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice in 2016, I can just imagine Zack Snyder gathering all the cast and crew together and saying, okay, guys, listen, we are not having fun with this movie. There's no fun in this movie. Watch the film. Everybody is miserable. It's joyless and humorless.
Yes.
It's a total drag. And this is for kids. It's like
it's not for kids.
It's also dull.
Yes. Yeah. The way they stack the decks to try to make Bruce Wayne a reason to like have to. He literally wants to kill Superman. It makes no sense. Level-headed genius detectives Bruce Wayne. I have to kill Superman, and Superman's like, well, wait a minute. He's a vigilante. I have to kill him. It's just full of anger and rage and guilt and fear, and it's like, my God.
Somebody give him a hug.
Yeah,
somebody give Zack Snyder a hug.
But the worst thing in the movie, though, Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor.
Oh no,
one of the worst performances of an actor of all time.
It seems like they were trying to make him like he's a lot more like the Joker in that film than he is Lex Luthor.
A terrible Joker.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course.
Yeah. No. He's just gibbering his bizarre mannerisms, and he's oh my God. There's a scene where he's like Clark Kent or Lois Lane come to see him, and he's like playing basketball in a court with like it's so terrible.
Jesse Eisenberg has worn out his welcome. I'm sorry.
Lex Luthor mushrooms.
Well, Sean, how did you feel about Justice League though?
Well, no, before I get there, I was going to say the one thing I did like about Batman versus Superman, I could watch just the last half hour where Wonder Woman shows up and fights Doomsday with Batman. That was great. That was great. But the whole movie not only is dark and toned, it literally is I think the entire movie takes place at night. Almost the entire movie. It's like, but yeah, it's terrible. Justice League, we all know what happened with that because Zack Snyder kind of bowed out of the film post-production because his
family
daughter,
tragedy,
committed suicide. Joss Whedon took it over, so it's very schizophrenic. It's kind of in the Snyderverse, but it's trying to be like the MCU kind of a little bit too.
He didn't just take it over. Only 10% of Zack Snyder's footage is in the Joss Whedon. They reshot it, and was it better? I don't know.
I don't know.
I think the main problem with Justice League, the theatrical cut, is the Steppenwolf, the villain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So cliched and so generic.
Yeah.
Terrible CGI.
Boring as hell.
Yeah, it really is. And like they just, I think they just dropped the ball with that. They try to insert some humor into it. I did like, it's not great, but I did like Zack Snyder's version better because it played like a miniseries.
Yeah. It was like it was very long.
Yeah, they fleshed out stuff, but it kind of worked better. But still, neither are great.
That movie does not know how to end. It just keeps on rolling. It's just, when you think it's over, and like, nope, now they're in the future.
So I'd say if you want to see something that's more fun and entertaining, go see Superman directed by James Gunn, the 2025 version.
Yes.
Would we agree?
We come full circle.
Right?
Yeah, thank you for doing your nice wrap up.
Oh, this has been great.
It's been super great.
I mean, Superman is such a great character. We've had a lot of fun talking about all the different films and TV shows and toys and stuff. It's been super. So, Dan, thanks for being with us, by the way.
Yes.
And it's so great to talk to someone who actually drew Superman, too.
Yes.
That's right.
I'm in awe.
And wrote it.
And wrote it, people. Wrote it.
So, Dan, is there...
I worked with editors, on Superman, and so you learn a lot of stuff. Yeah, that's a pretty neat thing that I don't think about that often. And then every once in a while I was talking with someone about Superman after the film, and then there was pushback in some of the things I was saying, and I said, the person said something like, well, that's just your opinion. I said, well, here, let me just tell you something though. It's an informed opinion based on the fact that I got a paycheck to do this.
That's right.
Not enough for me to. So, okay, you can have your opinion, I'll have mine, but I did do it professionally for a little bit, which is kind of weird to say, but I feel like it's in good hands.
Well, Dan, is there anything that you've worked on recently or are working on that our listeners can check out?
I actually have a comic book miniseries coming out starting in September. It's 4 issues from Dark Horse Comics. It's called Nocturnals, The Sinister Path. I actually kickstarted this as a graphic novel that came out, I want to say in 2018, and almost nobody saw it. Like I said, it was a Kickstarter, and Dark Horse has been putting my stuff into print in these oversized hardcover omnibuses. There's 2 of them there in the last few years during pandemic, and we put so much stuff in there. The first one is 320 pages for $30. Big oversized hardcover. I mean, when I say oversized, and then the second one is 420 pages for $30.
Wow.
I don't know how they do it. So the idea was to do a third one when I have enough material, which is kind of hard to get it out as quickly as I'd like because there's nobody footing the bill. It's just, it's all me. So my next Nocturnals graphic novel that I'm working on, it's coming along slowly because I'm not going to crowdfund it until it's mostly done. And then I'll take it to Kickstarter. And then eventually Darkest will do a third omnibus down the road. But the Sinister Path graphic novel is not part of those two omnibuses. And I had always had a plan to put it out as a trade paperback. And I said, hey, what do you guys think about doing it as a 4-issue floppy miniseries? And then I'll add I'll add story to it and flesh it out so it fits as a 4-issue comic rather than a graphic novel that's just been chopped up into 4 pieces. And they said, let's do it. So I did a bunch of new pages, new story, did 4 new covers. We have 4 variant covers, including Sean Gordon Murphy, Mike Oming, Brett Blevins did a beautiful cover. Adam Hughes is supposed to be turning one in any day. Sveta Shubina, who's a Ukrainian artist who's an amazing pinup artist. She did one for the December issue. And so I'm really excited because I haven't had a floppy miniseries or a floppy comic with all my work come out in like a long time. So it's kind of exciting. I'm going to do comic shop signings here and there. I'll actually be in LA, Golden Apple.
Let's hang.
Well, I'm going to be in and out, but no, I mean, it's really exciting. So it's Nocturnals, Sinister Path. And then I have an art book that's kind of what I call it my Halloween anniversary of Nocturnals, celebrating 31 years of the Nocturnals. And that was a Kickstarter art book. It's called Nocturnals Halloween Noir. And that's going to be coming out in the fall. It's still available to reserve your copy through Kickstarter. We're for late backing. If you want to go and check that out under Dan Brereton's Nocturnals on Kickstarter, or if you can go to one of my pages and you can find links there. So yeah, so I'm keeping real busy.
Cool, fantastic. Man. Well, Dan, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you.
Thank you, my friend.
Please keep us informed, and we can let other people know about if you're ever going to be at Golden Apple. That would be great.
Yes.
October 4th. I'll be at Golden
Excellent.
October 4th, and I'll be at Escapist Comics in Berkeley, Flying Colors Comics in Concord in September. But yeah, I would love to see people in the LA area come out for the October 4th signing. Golden Apple is a great shop. Those people are cool people.
Ryan is the best.
Seriously. And I'm so happy to be going. The last time I was there was for a Nocturnal signing in 2000.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
well, you heard it here first, folks.
He's back.
He's back. So what do you guys say we raise our glasses and give a great toast to Dan Brereton and to Superman.
Hey, guys. Eyes up here.
Time for a listener shout out.
Shout out. Look, up in the sky. It's a shout out.
You're not going to believe this, guys. This is even harder to believe a man can fly because we have another iTunes review.
Hey,
wow. What?
We are on a roll. It's wonderful.
All right.
This comes from listener Manning Road, who says, congrats on 300 episodes. I am not a monster kid, but I do love movies. And these monster kids of Monster Party have opened up a whole new genre of films for me to enjoy and even cherish.
Nice.
Oh.
I love to hear stuff like that when we.
Yeah.
If you're a monster kid, obviously this podcast is custom made for you. But even if you just love movies like me, come on in and join the Monster Party. It's a blast.
Oh,
that's great. That is a really great review.
So much.
And a good read, James.
Yeah.
Why, thank you.
It was super.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you, Manning Road. Much appreciated.
Yes.
Also want to do a shout out to our friends who joined us for the annual post San Diego Comic-Con hotel room hangout.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking Josh Gilliland, Jim Jenkins, Mark Rem, Scott Rogers, Stephanie Bordeaux, Gina Sheridan, Carrie Weinhold, and for the first time we were joined by listener George Brumis.
That's right,
George. A lot of fun. Glad everybody could join us. It was just like the old days.
That's right.
You know, guys, I've seen a lot of people lately with the Superman logo on their t-shirts.
Yeah.
You know what I would love to see more of?
What's that?
People with the Monster Party logo on their t-shirts.
Right.
Me
Yes.
too.
And if you'd love to be super fashionable and super in the know, you can get a Monster Party t-shirt. Where? From our eBay store, which is called, you guessed it, Monster Party Store on eBay. Or just type in Monster Party Podcast and you'll see a plethora of goods come up. We're talking about the logo t-shirt. We also have a logo t-shirt that glows in the dark. We have the Kaiju t-shirt designed by Derek Robertson. We have the Monster Party shot glass. We have the Monster Party PPE cloth mask and the legendary Monster Party baseball cap. And if you buy merch from our eBay store and also happen to be a Patreon member, we will throw in free surprise goodies, courtesy of our good friends Jason Lindsay at Biff Bang Pow Toys and foam fabber extraordinaire Ted Haynes.
Two men whose charms I have no kryptonite against.
Guys, you know, James Gunn is relaunching the DCU, and my head is completely swimming. And obviously, I'm very, very excited by this. You can't possibly expect me to remember what this Patreon is all about.
We don't expect it.
Okay.
No longer.
Could you
Every
please,
week. Yeah. Wow.
please refresh my memory?
Well, in kind of the opposite way that Lex Luthor had created a pocket universe to detain and abuse his enemies, Patreon has created a pocket universe of Monster Party bonus material to enrich and entertain our friends. Now, we're talking content like our special audio episodes, shows like Monster Party Masterpieces, Monster Party on the Road, and the mega popular Toy Time series. Yes,
right.
yeah. We also have our legendary Japan trip video diary, behind the scenes convention footage, and vintage sci-fi and horror fiction edited by our resident Lyskarian, John Bordeaux, and more.
Well, that sounds like a super bounty, Matt. But I gotta say,
Nice.
I'm looking for the ultimate Blu-ray of the Fleischer cartoons, and that's going to be expensive. I don't think I can afford this. How much does it cost?
Well, for the price you would pay for a box of store brand Pepto-Bismol to calm your stomach after vomiting up a bunch of nanites, you could become a Monster Party patron. And that price is $5. $5 a month.
What?
That's a super price. I mean, you can't get a deluxe, fully articulated Nuclear Man action figure for that price.
I don't know if I'd want that.
Yeah. Is there such thing as negative currency? Because that would be helpful for that.
Well, consider me sold. How do I sign up?
All you have to do is you go to patreon.com, you go to Monster Party, you click join, and next thing you know, you'll be as happy as Jimmy Olsen on Tinder.
And speaking of Tinder, we are on social media. We are on Facebook at Monster Party TV, YouTube at Monster Party TV, X, formerly Twitter, at Monster Party HQ. We are now on Blue Sky at Monster Party HQ. And however you're listening to us, please take a moment and write a review. Another iTunes review would be incredible. We'll keep this roll going. But however you reach out to us, we'd love to hear your thoughts, and we will read them on the air.
And we won't just read your review. We'll print it, roll it up, and use it to hit KRYPTO on the nose after he drops a super turd on the super carpet. On that note, I am Matt Weinhold.
I'm Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gunness.
Keep America strong.
And celebrate all things Superman.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to use the Fortress of Solitude.
Thank you, AI voice.
Yeah, I'm going to get all of this on the recording machine because it's going to be gold. Dan, go. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. It's great to be back. I feel very privileged because I know how much prestige the show has these days. So
it's huge.
Privileged.
Huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't walk the streets anymore. I can't.
So
Rondo nominated.
what's that?
Rondo nominated.
Rondo Hatton nominated?
Yes.
That's correct.
And third.
That is pretty awesome. Again, like I said, there's far more qualified individuals than me. So thank goodness for slow weeks. I'm happy to be
No, Dan, there was no one more qualified for you for this topic.
Exactly.
We tried James Gunn, but you couldn't make it, so we came to you.
I mean, and Dan, you know what the topic is, right?
Yes, the Silver Surfer. Right?
Right.
He's got it.
Oh.
He's got it. I've always been wanting to do this.
No.
Man.
All right. So calm Larry down because already you're freaking him out with this T-shirt.
Oh, Larry, no. I know exactly what we're talking about. I've seen Superman twice, and I've seen the Fantastic Four.
No spoilers about the Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
We're seeing it this Saturday.
See, we don't want someone, it's like, hey, let's talk about this other film. No. Because that's
you guys have all seen Superman. I mean, Spider-Man. You've all seen Superman.
No, not
we have
that
seen it
either. There's a lot of those heroes that have man at the second part of it, but this is about the Superman.
The Superman.
Superman.
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it tomorrow, so no spoilers, okay?
So
Wait, whoa.
No,
You
I'm
haven't seen
kidding.
it?
I'm kidding.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
kidding. I'm kidding.
But speaking of Colonel Sanders, who doesn't love a good bucket of chicken?
Now you got me back, Larry.
Fried chicken. And
Do you like the regular or the extra crispy?
Matt, I'm more of a regular guy.
Fair enough.
It's
very good.
It's not to say that I don't like the extra crispy. That's like a very tender, juicy dessert.
It is.
I
go back and forth.
I like to go with just a regular spices.
Very good.
Regular Joe.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
No.
It's a very good chicken.
Yeah.
Dan, you want to weigh in? The tiebreaker?
I've always wondered when I go to LA, like, what's the deal with this place called Kookaroo? Is it any good? Are
there any left? I love that place.
Are they gone now?
I think they are. I used to go there all the time.
Really? I don't think I've ever been to one.
It was amazing. It was great. It was affordable.
Yeah.
And it was very tasty. And
Agreed.
And then they just disappeared. I think the whole chain was gone.
When I was living in the Bay Area, just prior to hanging out with Matt a lot, I was working on the Black Terror, and I was living in Pleasant Hill. And there was a El Pollo Loco down the road.
Yeah.
And El Pollo Loco back in 88, 89 was pretty damn good because they hadn't gotten crazy.
Wasn't as big.
Right.
It was, you went in and there was behind the counter was this huge area of just grills of them cooking chickens, whole chickens.
Right.
And they were cooking and they smelled delicious. And when you bought a chicken, you bought a whole chicken and it came with some salsa and some tortillas. And I think that's it.
Really?
That's good.
Simple.
And when you were on a budget and everything, it was great. And that place was, I used to go there once a week, I think. I would say that was a healthier way to do things than to start adding all the KFC type sides and everything.
No, KFC is like, if I do this every week, the Grim Reaper will be serving me my next extra crispy.
But they have mashed potatoes, man.
What's that? Go ahead.
Mashed potatoes, man. That's
they're not, and they're straight from a box, but still.
But it works. Somehow it works.
At one time, they were little potatoes running around the forest.
At one time,
they were captured.
There is potato in there.
Bumped on the head and then put into the machine.
Yes. It's not a plastic Mr. Potato. It is real potato.
I don't want to lengthen the chicken theme. Of course I do, but I understand we have a show to do. But I have to ask, Zankou chicken?
What?
I've never done.
You know Zankou? It might be an LA thing.
No, there are. I've seen a couple, but I've never been.
But it's a chain and it's like a Mediterranean. So you can get the full chickens, but you can also get kebabs and shawarma and it's extremely good. And what's really great about it is that not only do you get a tasty chicken, but you also get this this garlic butter stuff. It's like more like a garlic mayonnaise. And that shit, oh my God. You put that in, they give you a bunch of pitas and you put that in the pita and you stuff the chicken in there.
Pita.
And you're just as happy as a chicken loving man can be.
Oh man, I love it.
I love it, man.
By the way, to get on topic, there is a super potato store in Japan. Yeah, it's a video game store. It's called Super Potato.
Huh.
In Japan. Japan has all the best stuff. James, I have to ask you a question. Why aren't you Jor-El right now? Why aren't you in your Jor-El costume?
That's true.
I was Jor-El in San Diego 6 days ago.
Okay, so
and in the past too.
I haven't been to San Diego since 2018, but James, we ran into each other. WonderCon, right? And you had your Jor-El outfit on, and you looked amazing.
Thank you.
Not everybody can make that work.
Yeah, no.
And Dan, not only that, it's how many Jor-Els do you really see?
Well, that's
right,
just
exactly.
It's rare.
Really? I mean, how many do we need? Do we need, I was just watching, we'll talk about this more maybe when we come back, but I was just catching up on Superman Returns, which I saw one time. I didn't remember any of it. Seriously, didn't remember any of Superman Returns. Didn't think I liked it, but I'm watching it now and it's not horrible. It's Brian.
No,
I had the same reaction when I watched it again, but I'm going to save that for the discussion.
Yeah.
But going back to James and Jor-El, what was really cool, Dan, was a couple Comic-Cons ago, James, really wanted to dress up, and I had this Superman costume. It was like a costume you get at a store.
Off the rack.
The rack.
Yeah.
And so then I got it when my daughter wanted to be Supergirl, so we went as a team. So I brought it and I put it on, and James dressed up as Jor-El. I saw a lot of Supermans, but I didn't see any Jor-Els.
Right.
And probably the funniest thing though was when James and I decided to stop at the DC booth. We stop at the DC booth, and I'm there in my costume, and this woman who's in charge of marketing or does marketing sees me. Goes, "Oh, can we get a picture of you by the Superman thing?" And I go, "Oh, sure."
She took video.
She's like 11 years old.
No,
she's
like,
okay,
not 11.
She's obviously not 11. A Superman fan.
She was like 30-ish, right? She was like 30.
Whatever.
She's not like Mike Carlin's daughter.
No, but Dan,
have a daughter, but
she's 30. She's like, I would say 30.
Okay, she's 30. Go ahead.
That's 11.
Then she looks at James and she says, what does she say? Like, who are you? Or what are you dressed as? I'm like,
and what are you supposed to be? Are you an alien?
Who are you supposed to be?
And you work at DC?
Abu Dhabi Superman?
I was floored. But
I was like, okay, think Russell Crowe, but 30 years ago, right?
No, I mean, how about Brando, but, like after he had been on Ozempic for like 6 months or something,
Yeah, see, it just goes to show you it works.
Not for me.
And we should warn that there are spoilers.
Yes, totally.
Well, I'll make sure that you start that. I mean, who among us hasn't done a spoiler, okay? I mean,
spoiler.
I know. Red Wedding, oh, that's me.
Wait, did you give away the red?
Obama spoiled that.
Yes, he did. Yes, he gave. Yeah, he gave away the Red Wedding.
On.
No kidding. Okay.
I know.
Hey,
amazing. It's really ballsy.
George R.R. Martin was writing science fiction before Star Wars. So there's a chance that something that George R.R. Martin had published in analog could have actually made it into Star Wars like Dune did.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a thought. Another thing, too. I have a friend that works for Lucasfilm. This is completely off of the track. Real quick. I have a friend that works for Lucasfilm. He's an editor. You remember my friend Brett Matt, who was he's an editor at Lucasfilm. He has been for several years. He hasn't even seen Dune. Like, I don't think he's even seen Dune. They are like Dune blind over there at ILM. They don't seem to want to acknowledge that George Lucas borrowed heavily from it. Or if they do, they're like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Well,
Let's move on.
I think everybody knows that from the time that the first Star Wars came out.
But it's just so kind of sad that they can't just say, oh, yeah, of course. He didn't, like as an apologist for Lucas, I would say, well, he didn't know that it was going to be he didn't know it was going to be this huge thing when he was taking all.
But it's okay to borrow.
Well, Dan, I don't.
Music borrows all the time.
He borrowed from the Searchers and the Hidden Fortress, and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So in fairness, okay, it's a collection of a lot of different. I can't believe I'm defending this.
Flash Gordon.
What I noticed at Disney, having walked through the halls of ILM or even in Burbank, is that they'll have these big posters and murals up of like Hidden Fortress and and all this Kurosawa.
But they won't have Dune.
Like he was worshiping at the shrine of Kurosawa. Look at this. Look at the gravitas that Star Wars, inculcates or whatever. And that's just a word I came up with. I don't even know what it means.
Nice, like it.
But they don't have any like big giant Dune poster up. You know what I'm saying?
But Dan, in fairness,
in
fairness, Dune, the first movie, came out in what, 84? 84.
Yeah. It was a book before that.
And well, yes, I know it was a book.
Yes, it happened to have come out.
I don't want to throw a spoiler out there.
1965, guys. And they were trying to make a Dune movie all through the 70s. In fact, the art book that the crazy European guy had with Jodorowsky, and he had all the and Chris Voss, and this book was making its way around Hollywood for years.
Well, there's a whole documentary on that.
Dan, I'm not sure your dates are right, though. I mean, that book and all those pictures, that came later after 84, right?
No, Jodorowsky was trying to make a Dune movie in the 70s.
Yeah.
But all of the images in the
documentary about it.
There's a documentary called Jodorowsky's Dune, which is
Jodorowsky's Dune, and I think it was a very long process. Like he had been working on this for a very long time.
Very cool director, up and comer. Got a look at that. Ridley Scott, Coppola, George Lucas, Spielberg. They all got a real good look at it.
Savage Steve Holland.
Hold on a second. Did you say Steve Holland?
Savage Steve Holland?
Have you seen this book, the Torn Shirt Sessions this guy put out?
Ooh.
It's a collection of Steve Holland reference from those New York shoots.
Wow.
No.
Is he like dressing up as Doc Savage, or is it just a
Well, he was the model for all those Doc Savage's covers that Baumer was doing and Pfeiffer was doing, and then he was on the cover of every paperback at one time.
Wow.
Okay. So just to not confuse the audience, this is not the same Steve Holland I'm talking about.
Okay, well,
this is Savage Steve Holland of Better Off Dead
Steve Holland.
and One Crazy Summer. And he's a wonderful director, and I think he would have done Dune amazing justice. And if you disagree, I don't know what's wrong with the world.
Well, I think these recent Dunes are really great.
Yeah, we would have seen John Cusack playing Paul Atreides.
That would have been way better.
That's fine.
Then what?
About for the
whatever
Kyle MacLachlan or
what's his face?
Timothy Chalamet.
No, I don't.
Timothy Chalamet, who is about as exciting as my ass on a hot day.
No, your ass is not a
But
coming
he's
of
French.
age. It's
But
not
he's
like,
French.
hey,
so
I'm
is
going
Danny
from a young ass to a manly ass.
He sucks.
He goes, no, he doesn't.
No, in my opinion, Larry, he does.
Did you see the film?
I saw the film. He's this big zero. I think he's a good actor, but he's wrong for this.
Now,
who would you have liked for Paul? Is there someone you have for Paul? Are you like for Paul?
I don't know.
Realistically, not someone from like John Cusack or something. Who do we even know of who fit the bill to carry a movie at that point? I mean, I don't even.
A young Werner Klemperer.
Okay, so you're doing it. That's what I mean.
All
like,
right.
Brandon Routh.
God forbid we have some fun here.
I know,
but Benson would have been great as Paul Atreides.
Dan.
Robbie Benson. What?
Well,
He was the mind killer, guys.
Who's the guy who's in Serenity and he was in My Bodyguard? That guy.
Oh, Joe. I'm too old to play Paul. That
Chris
guy.
Makepeace.
He would have been great.
No, the other guy. No, not Chris Makepeace. Although maybe if you buffed him up, he'd work.
Chris Makepeace.
He's a little no, the other guy, the bodyguard guy who's as
Paul Atreides? No. Paul Atreides.
Young.
Wafy guy. No, because Paul Atreides is a young, wafy kid.
Oh, so you know him.
Yeah,
You're hanging out with
No,
him.
I've read the book
and that's
several
not
times. He's like
Timothy
14 or
Chalamet.
something.
Oh no,
He's a youngster.
Young.
No, Chris Makepeace would have been a better. How about the guy from Salem's Lot? James is 17. That guy.
Lance Cohen.
Lance Kerwin, yeah. No,
I don't think we're making a movie now. He doesn't have to be waifish, but he has to. Kyle MacLachlan wasn't waifish.
No.
He's also too old.
Well, but he was
that's
still
true.
better than this guy.
Was he?
Yes. Yeah, again, if you like uncharismatic leading men, Dan, that's your prerogative. That's fine.
Hey, you know
and
what?
I'm sure that
You just made me-
Zendaya also was like,
Oh,
she
lovely.
should have gotten a nomination,
Lovely.
right?
Lovely.
For her
Lovely.
two Zendaya.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, she should have gotten some sort of award
Okay.
for the
She
three
really
different
does-
facial
she does-
expressions that she has.
Okay,
He really
all right.
picked up a lot of slack.
Upset,
Yeah.
more upset, and confused.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Don't you
Jana,
like
we'll have
Timothy
you. Dan,
Chalamet?
we'll have you back for our Dune episode.
Okay. All right.
We
think
do
we
have a
just-
very,
we'll-
very big subject to
Yeah,
tackle.
we'll
Good
spend
stuff.
a lot of
This is
time
all
on the
good stuff.
Sandworm, okay? But
This is
but
all good
tonight,
stuff.
it's all on the Man of Steel. Mr. Soup. It's
Mr.
Blue.
Mr.
Mr.
Soup.
Soup.
Yep. So we're gonna have fun.
Soup,
We're
soup,
gonna-
baby.
So we all know what we're doing. We're going to start with the movie, and then we'll work in all the other crap. So let's
All
start.
And the title. We have the correct
Superman.
title now. No,
The
well, there's
Superman legacy.
The Superman legacy.
Like the
It's
Batman
my-
legacy.
It's like the Batman. It's
This
like the
episode is
Batman
called
one we did.
Superman
Okay,
Legacy.
fine. The Superman Legacy. Fine. Great. I love
All right.
it.
You guys run this as audio or audio and visual and video?
Just audio.
Just
Okay.
audio.
Okay, so showing things off visually would be weird. I mean,
It
when-
usually doesn't work.
Yeah.
Unless your
Yeah.
powers
Well,
of description
I was going to
are
say,
incredible.
well, I do it in like a Siri voice. I do it in like an AI voice when I do it. It's really,
Even better.
But you
somehow
can't-
you get the picture perfectly with an AI voice. It really does illustrate things
Yeah.
that any emotion could ever do.
Maybe Timothy Chalamet should do this.
Timothy Chalamet, I think, has been transhumanly and transhumanized. I think-
Someone should wake him up. That's all
No,
I'm
he
saying.
is. You know what, guys? He's doing just fine. He's on
Yeah, he's
fire
fine.
right now.
Hey, you know what? There's an audience for him, and
Yes.
God bless him.
Yeah, he was in
It's,
a movie where he
it's
played a
not
king.
you.
It's not me. No, I remember actors.
No,
Oh.
In my day,
Ooh.
we had Burt Lancaster,
I like the young.
We had
I like the young
Robert
talent out
Mitchum,
there.
Let me tell you what I'm going to do.
Floss.
I'm Paul Atreides. Let me tell you what I'm going to do.
Oh,
Really bad.
right.
I like it.
That's great.
You just cut him off at the knees like Dorf on golf.
Mind Killer.
All right.
Matt, you can do Burt Lancaster doing Fear is the Mind Killer.
Arrakis is like a cookie filled with arsenic. Thanks for making the scene, buddy.
Thank you for I'm always happy to come in and pick up when those big Hollywood directors.
Oh, stop it. Oh,
Here,
stop. Dan, you are still to this day one of my favorite artists of all time. And I fucking love your shit. I'm so honored that I have some of it.
yeah.
And it's on my wall as we speak.
Thank you, man. I really that means a lot to me. You're an awesome person, and I always sing your praises. And one of these days, Monster on a Mini Bike is going to be going to rock the world. I'm telling you, it should be a series. My kids will watch it. I'll watch it.
It's going to be a very dark Zack Snyder vehicle.
Well, I mean, you leave, if you have to leave to go on vacation or something, and then Zack Snyder comes in and takes over, that's fine. But I was going to say, if you do it, I would love to illustrate it. If you do it as a
Oh, my
children's
God.
book, I would love to.
Matt, was this, if I
It's
remember
you. It's
correctly,
you.
Matt, is this the thing that you wrote as a little kid, right?
Oh, yeah, no.
I remember
It's-
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it still resonates today. It's a lot of, it's still as fresh as it was the day that I created it. I mean, it's a polemic
Teenage
in many
angst.
ways.
It's relevant.
Teenage angst.
Also, there's so much. I mean, people are going to want to know. They're going to want to see it continue. What
The
happened?
backstory.
Why? Where did he get the mini
What
bike?
happened?
Why
Monster
is he riding a mini bike? What does the mini bike represent?
freedom?
Right.
See,
Also-
that's why you're the perfect person for this.
Popularity. When the monster
It's-
gets the mini bike becomes popular.
Right.
It's the then came Bronson of the monster world.
Wow,
If anybody-
nice
if anybody
one.
remembers that one.
No, sure I
Wow.
do.
No.
Sure.
Keep America strong.
And celebrate all things Superman.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to use the Fortress of Solitude.
I like that one.
Give a little bit of a Woody Allen.
Woody Allen,
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, I have got to use the Fortress of Solitude.
He would say that.
I'm a little nauseous from.
That's good. Yeah, I think that works. That's good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I would do everything in my power to bring peace to all nations of the world, be they black, be they white, be they colored, be they whatever. Bleeper, anyone?
Oh yeah, of course.
Genius.
So you could be leaving little batteries in the floor. That was from
That may be my favorite
Sleeper.
Woody Allen movie.
Me too. I think it is.
Sleeper.
Yeah,
Sleeper.
Sleeper is just
It's
Erno.
Mr. White Teeth.
God, I haven't seen that.
Yeah. If you're the star of a vampire movie, your name's
Star of a
Erno.
vampire. This is a photograph of people burning a bra. You'll notice it's a very small fire. Bela Lugosi was the mayor of New York City for 4 years. You can see what it did to him.
So classic.
That was funny.